Western Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, disgraceful misinformation.
That's how the PNP has described the JLP's claim that parliamentarians are not told when they're under investigation for illicit enrichment.
We are insulted and alarmed at the disgraceful concoction of misinformation and misdirection being used by the JLP.
Attorney pleads for mercy for man convicted of the murder of Simone Campbell Collymore.
PNP calls on the Wholeness Administration to establish special fund to assist Jamaicans whose homes were damaged by Hurricane Beryl.
In news from the rest of the world, Caribbean seeks help in fighting climate change after Hurricane Beryl devastates small islands.
Joe Biden hits campaign trail as Democratic fears deepen.
In headline sports, no Jamaican managed a podium place at the Monaco Diamond League.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, JLP Deputy General Secretary Senator Charles Sinclair is describing as mischievous and untrustworthy a claim by PNP President Mark Golding that he's unaware of any parliamentarian from his party being under investigation by the Integrity Commission for illicit enrichment. G2K President Shane Carr and a representative of the PNP will join us.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, what are your red flags when taking public transportation? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio. You can also message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693 or leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, several doctors have taken to social media to complain about the food they've been receiving during long shifts. We'll be joined by a former doctor in the system who will tell us about his experiences.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90FM, nationwideradiojm.com, and on the Nationwide app, available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Friday afternoon, it's Friday, July 12, 2024.
News at 5 is brought to you by Fostrich Company Limited, fostering rich customer service.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. The Opposition People's National Party, PNP, is maintaining that the Integrity Commission does in fact advise parliamentarians when they are under investigation for illicit enrichment. The party is calling on the governing Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, to be honest with the Jamaican people on the matter. Norige Banton has more in this report.
The PNP statement follows one from the JLP in which Senator Charles Sinclair denied that parliamentarians are formally advised when the commission opens a probe into the source of their wealth. But the PNP says Senator Sinclair's comments amount to misinformation and misdirection. Nikisha Burchell is the PNP's spokesperson on information and public communication.
We are saying that the JLP is fully aware that, to the contrary, the Integrity Commission does write to individuals who are under investigation for illicit enrichment and advises them of such investigation. This protocol, we know, is in place to ensure that those under scrutiny are aware of their status and can respond appropriately.
Opposition leader Mark Golding has indicated that no opposition parliamentarian is aware of being under investigation for illicit enrichment. Ms. Burchell says the Integrity Commission has made it clear that any lawmaker under investigation would be advised.
In a public statement in Parliament, the Commission's Director of Investigation, Kevin Stevenson, said, and I'm going to quote him here, he said, all declarants who are being investigated for illicit enrichment must be so advised. Declarants under such an investigation must, by law, be given an opportunity to explain how they came by their assets. That's a direct quote. In fact, the same statement was shared by the Integrity Commission's Executive Director, Greg Christie, via an email to Parliament in August 2023.
The opposition spokesperson on information says she's calling on the leadership of the JLP. The opposition spokesperson on information says she's calling on the leadership of the Jamaica Labour Party to publicly declare the status of all parliamentarians who sit on the government benches. She says the matter has the potential to derail the government.
We therefore challenge Mr. Sinclair, the Prime Minister and the entire Jamaica Labour Party to state unequivocally whether any of their members are under investigation for illicit enrichment. We just want to remind the Jamaica Labour Party that the historically unprecedented case of 8 parliamentarians being under investigation by the country's integrity watchdog for illicit enrichment is a serious matter. This has the potential to derail any government and cause irrevocable damage to a country's reputation.
The opposition says it continues to call on all parliamentarians to uphold the highest standards in public life. Norige Banton for Nationwide News.
Attorney for murder convict Michael Adams, Sanjay Smith, has asked the court to be merciful when handing down a sentence to his client. Smith was making final submissions during a sentencing hearing in the Home Circuit Court in downtown Kingston on Thursday. In May, Adams was convicted of the murder and conspiracy to murder businesswoman Simone Campbell Collymore and her taxi driver Winston Walters. Simone's husband, Omar Collymore, and 2 others, Shaquilla Edwards and Dwayne Pink, were also found guilty. Robian Williams reports.
Michael Adams was contracted to kill Simone by her husband Omar Collymore. In his submissions, attorney Sanjay Smith asked the court to consider a starting point of 30 years before Adams would be eligible for parole in relation to Simone's killing. For Winston Walters' murder, Mr. Smith suggested a starting point of 35 years, and for the conspiracy charge, 5 years. This is in sharp contrast to what Senior Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions Andrea Martin Swaby had recommended. Mrs. Martin Swaby proposed 2 life sentences at hard labor, with starting points ranging from 46.5 years to 48.5 years before eligibility for parole. However, Mr. Smith pleaded with presiding Judge Justice Leighton Pusey to extend a heavy hand in mercy and a light hand in sentence. He submitted that Adams's prior conviction of robbery with aggravation was 14 years ago, adding that the time between then and now is substantial. Mr. Smith asked the court not to use the prior conviction against Adams. Mr. Smith was quick to add that Adams was gainfully employed at the time of his arrest. Quote, "He's not one who sit pon the corner and crush out him handmiggle." End quote. He attempted to appeal to the emotions of Justice Pusey with reference to Adams's younger daughter, whom he said he had not seen since January 2018. At the time of his arrest, Adams was 27 years old. Mr. Smith asked that the court take into consideration his level of maturity and his age at the time the offense was committed. He also cited Adams's rough family life while growing up, his belief in God, and his medical condition. Meanwhile, attorney for Shaquilla Edwards, Janoy McDonald, asked that her client not be treated the same as the other accused men. Edwards was only convicted of conspiracy to murder. Previously in the trial, Ms. McDonald told the court that her client was not present when the plan was being hatched. She noted that Edwards did not hide the fact that he knew the men were conspiring to kill Simone. However, she added that Edwards chose to provide the police with information during his question and answer, including the lies he told to escape being involved in the murder plot. Ms. McDonald asked the court to consider his cooperation with the investigation, his youth, his history of childhood trauma, and the fact that he has no prior convictions. She submitted that Edwards's withdrawal from the plot to kill Simone and his acknowledgement of the impact on the families of the victims show remorse. Ms. McDonald pleaded with Justice Pusey to avoid the imposition of a crushing sentence. She stated that Edwards didn't participate in the murder, and as such, he should be granted a lesser sentence than that of any person who saw the plot through to the end. She recommended a starting point ranging from 5 to 6 years before eligibility for parole. Simone Campbell Collymore and her taxi driver Winston Walters were shot and killed on Stanley Terrace in Red Hill, St. Andrew on January 2, 2018. The sentencing hearing will continue on Tuesday morning at 10. Robeanne Williams for Nationwide News.
The Parliament has denied claims that Speaker Juliet Holness issued a directive cancelling parliamentary committee meetings. The matter came up at Tuesday's meeting of the Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, the PAAC. Member of Parliament for South St. Catherine, Fitz Jackson, along with the chairman of the PAAC, Michael Phillips, blasted Mrs. Holness for unilaterally cancelling the committee meetings. But in a statement on Friday, the Parliament says that never happened. It says there was miscommunication around the decision. Parliament says Mrs. Holness expressed concerns that there would be difficulties making contact with members in light of Hurricane Beryl. Some meetings were cancelled due to the unavailability of members to form a quorum. The statement says, given the extensive destruction caused by the hurricane and the need for members to assist with recovery efforts, there was also concern that members would be unable to attend meetings. The Parliament says there was no intention to usurp authority or disrupt parliamentary processes beyond what was essential for addressing the hurricane emergency. The Parliament says it regrets the confusion and the inconvenience caused.
Energy Minister Darrell Vaz says it will take an estimated 4 weeks to restore electricity to the southern parishes severely affected by Hurricane Beryl.
The preliminary estimation for full restoration of this area, meaning all the hard-hit areas, is 4 weeks. The rest of the country, we are trying to get back up by this weekend into early next week.
A team of more than 300 workers from the Jamaica Public Service JPS will be sent to St. Elizabeth as the Light and Power Company continues its ongoing efforts to restore power to the hurricane-battered parish. Sections of Manchester and Clarendon are also still without electricity. Minister Vaz says work to restore power to the southern parishes will be treated as a priority due to the extensive damage caused by Beryl.
The bigger plan for the hardest hit areas, which is southern Clarendon, southern Manchester, southern St. Elizabeth and parts of Westmoreland, are the hardest hit. And therefore, they are priority. So what I've asked JPS to do is to put a special, what I like to call as a task force, a special dedicated team to deal with the southern part that has been hit the most. So no matter what is happening in Spanish Town or Kingston or Portland or St. Ann, that is separate. So we are separating. So we are not going to take people from here to go to other parishes. There's going to be a dedicated team.
Darrell Vaz, Energy Minister.
Meanwhile, JPS says electricity has now been restored to 632,000 customers island-wide. According to the company's latest update on Friday, 60,000 of its customers remain without electricity. The Light and Power Company is also reporting that all of the island's hospitals and major healthcare facilities have been restored with power. JPS says while the majority of its customer base will be energized by Saturday, a number of smaller areas will remain out of service. JPS's Senior Vice President of Energy Delivery, Blaine Jarrett, says the company is also redeploying resources where possible to aggressively push ahead in providing electricity to these areas. He says St. Elizabeth remains on a different timeline with full restoration expected in a month. The company says it has also completed assessments of all its power plants. JPS further stated that more than 13,000 kilometers of distribution lines have been patrolled. You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is...
It's 15 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial is the expert in pest control, air purification and hygiene services. Call today 876-926-4236.
The temperature by Rent-to-Kill is
32 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 31 out west in Montego Bay.
Guard against mosquito-borne diseases. Following the passage of Hurricane Beryl, members of the public are reminded to be vigilant in order to prevent mosquito-borne diseases such as dengue. Here are some tips to help you. Search around the home for places where water may have settled and clear them. Use insect repellent containing DEET. Use mosquito nets. Use mosquito destroyer. Put screens on windows and doors. Avoid places with standing water or garbage piles. For further information, please contact the Health Emergency Operations Center at 888-1-LOVE. That's 888-663-5683.
Continuing the news, opposition spokesman on housing and sustainable living, Senator Dr. Floyd Morris, is calling on the Holness administration to establish a special fund to assist Jamaicans whose homes were damaged by Hurricane Beryl. The senator's call follows widespread reports of significant damage to homes across southern parishes.
I am making a call for the government to establish a special dedicated fund to assist individuals whose houses were totally or partially destroyed during Hurricane Beryl. The hurricane has done extensive damage to the houses of thousands of Jamaicans, especially those in Clarendon, Manchester, and more so St. Elizabeth. And there is the need for some support mechanisms to be put in place to assist these individuals to rebuild their houses.
Sections of Clarendon and St. Elizabeth have been worst affected. Scores of residents reported being in need of tarpaulins and building supplies. Senator Morris says non-governmental relief agencies should be engaged to assist in assessing those most in need. He says the government should consider waiving the GCT on building supplies for needy families.
I am also calling for the government to waive GCT on these items, these construction material that will be provided to the beneficiaries in their rebuilding effort, because it makes no sense for you to be giving the individuals an assistance and then you're going to deduct GCT from that, so it's just a common sense approach.
Senator Floyd Morris, opposition spokesman on housing and sustainable living.
The managing director of the Transport Authority, Ralston Smith, says transport operators that modify their vehicles to add extra seats are in breach of the law. Mr. Smith was speaking Friday on Nationwide this morning.
Those vehicles who come with 2 seats at the front and a seat at the back for passengers, and then it's the trunk space, where a person then goes and modifies that vehicle to put in an extra row of seats that the car didn't come with. You're saying that that is legal or illegal?
That is not at all legal, and the Island Traffic Authority would have issued on the certificate of fitness the number of seats for which the vehicle is allowed to carry passengers. And as a consequence, the authority would now indicate on the road license the number of seats. And that is what we monitor from, and the police themselves would also ensure that the appropriate monitoring and regulating in terms of enforcement of seating accommodation is carried out.
This comes in light of an incident in which a transport operator was seen operating his 7-seater vehicle with 11 passengers aboard. The operator was seen in a viral video sitting in a passenger's lap as he drove the vehicle. The operator was charged with dangerous driving, operating with excess passengers, and operating contrary to the terms and conditions of his road license. The license plate on his motor vehicle have also been removed. Mr. Smith says the policy to determine how many passengers should be in a vehicle was revised recently.
All right, so most of those vehicles enter the country as 7-seaters. There was a time past when the Island Traffic Authority, being the competent body to determine seats in a motor vehicle, would nullify the set of back seats and reduce the seating for PPP purposes to 4. That decision was changed some years ago to allow 4 because the makers are saying that it was made to carry 6 passengers in that instance. And on account of that whole policy was revised. And I think for the most part, they are issued 6, 7 seats on their fitness on the L4.
Ralston Smith, Managing Director of the Transport Authority.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute. Caribbean officials on Friday demanded more access to funding and help in fighting climate change at an Organization of American States, OAS, meeting in Washington, D.C. The urgent request comes more than a week after Hurricane Beryl devastated Grenada and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as well as sections of Jamaica. The Category 4 storm left at least 7 people dead in the Caribbean. The officials noted that the historic storm exposed the vulnerability of small island states, SIDS. The delegate for St. Lucia asked that climate financing be made more available and that financial institutions include special disaster clauses. The Bahamian delegate criticized top greenhouse gas emitters worldwide, saying they remained silent and non-committal about their responsibilities to SIDS. OAS Secretary General Luis Almagro also noted that funds flowing toward islands affected by Beryl are insufficient. Caribbean leaders have requested at least $9 million in assistance.
U.S. President Joe Biden is under intense scrutiny amid questions over his age and cognitive abilities as he seeks to beat Donald Trump in November's election. Top House Democrat Hakeem Jeffries has met Biden, telling his caucus in a letter that he shared their full breadth of insight, heartfelt perspectives, and conclusions about the path forward with the president. More members of the Democratic Party have called for Biden to stand aside after a stumbling debate performance last month. This has fueled concerns over his ability to serve another term. The president stood firm in a defiant hour-long news conference on Thursday night, where he dismissed the concerns about his campaign. But the conference was also marred by occasional errors, including mistakenly referring to Vice President Kamala Harris as Vice President Trump. The president will hold a Friday evening rally in Detroit, Michigan, as he continues to defend his re-election bid.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour. Disgraceful misinformation.
That's how the PNP has described the JLP's claim that parliamentarians are not told when they're under investigation for illicit enrichment.
We are insulted and alarmed at the disgraceful concoction of misinformation and misdirection being used by the JLP.
Attorney pleads for mercy for man convicted of the murder of Simone Campbell Collymore.
PNP calls on the Wholeness Administration to establish special fund to assist Jamaicans whose homes were damaged by Hurricane Beryl.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
And listeners, you can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next. We'll have the headlines at 6.
News at 5 was brought to you by Fostrich Company Limited, fostering rich customer service.
Feeling stuck in endless paperwork to secure a small business loan from a bank? Access Financial Services can unlock your growth with an SME loan. Borrow up to $20 million with easy requirements and fast approvals. Whether you are ready to boost productive capacity, get working capital, or acquire real estate, say goodbye to the hassle and hello to growth. Grow your business with an SME loan up to $20 million from Access Financial Services. Call 876-929-9253 or visit accessfinanceonline.com. Conditions apply.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. There were 3 fourth-place finishes for Jamaican athletes at today's Monaco Diamond League meeting at the Stade Louis II Stadium in the French Principality. National champion Malik James King clocked 47.73 seconds in the men's 400 meters hurdles. He was beaten by the 3 fastest men ever over the distance. Rai Benjamin won in 46.67, ahead of the Olympic champion Karsten Warholm, 46.73, and Alison Dos Santos 47.18 seconds. I tell you, these 3 gentlemen, between them, they have the 17 fastest times ever over the distance. Shanika Ricketts was 4th in the women's triple jump with a leap of 14 meters 67. Akeelia Smith was 5th with 14 meters 30. Victory went to the Paris Olympic favorite Leanis Hernandez of Cuba, 14 meters 96. Former national champion Andrew Hudson also had to settle for 4th in the men's 200 meters in 20.43 seconds as Botswana's young star Letsile Tebogo won in 19.87 seconds. The next Diamond League meeting will be in London July 20, the last before the Paris Olympic Games. Former Calabar High School standout Kimar Farquharson has dismissed reports that he was removed from Jamaica's team to the Paris Olympic Games because of an injury. Farquharson says he's not injured. He was selected as a reserve for the mixed open 4x400 meters relay. He competed at the national trials, the national championships if you like, and he was a part of the 6-member team that competed at the New Life Invitational in the Bahamas in a bid to secure a spot for the men's mile relay team at the Paris Olympic Games. Farquharson, who competes for Texas, says there's no truth to claims that he's an injured man.
Whenever I speak with somebody, they always be like, I'm going to get back to you, I'm going to talk to somebody, they always be like, they're going to get back to me or something. And so the issue was nothing injury or anything, because I was training up to yesterday when the public say I'm not on the team no longer, right? So it was nothing about injury. They said that I didn't send them my passport in time. So I didn't get any email from them to submit my passport or anything like that.
Farquharson says he's competing at the Olympic Games will change the marketability of an athlete. Farquharson believes he was robbed of an opportunity to showcase his talent on the biggest stage in sport.
This is something that every athlete dreams to go. Olympics is like a big thing for every athlete. So this is something I was dreamed to be a part of, And then I finally work hard and actually reach the end. Then, the last minute, they're going to replace me with somebody else,
And that person that they've replaced him with is Anthony Cox of Chase Athletics, who finished the 6th at the national championship in 46.20 seconds. And he's been brought in as the replacement, as I mentioned. Farquharson says the communication skills, or the lack thereof, at the J3s is mind-boggling.
They could at least say to me, because nobody will say anything to me, because they would be like, oh, Kimar, I'm sorry for this happened, but we replace it with this person, They keep on be like, hey, I'm going to get back to you, As I get information, I'm going to get back to you. Up to now, nobody doesn't get back to me. On paper, they say that they choose my replacement on Monday, right? But I call them Tuesday and ask them about update on my situation. They keep on saying that they're going to get back to me when they already know, make decision long before. And they should at least say that. That's my own group issue.
That's Kimar Farquharson. West Indies captain Craig Brathwaite is urging his team to quickly put behind them today's heavy defeat to England in the first test at Lords and look ahead to the next 2 games in the series. The Caribbean team suffered a crushing innings and 114-run defeat inside 3 days to go 1-0 down in the 3-match series. The hosts needed little over an hour on Friday morning to remove the last 4 West Indies wickets. The team crumbled to 136. Gudakesh Moti ended unbeaten on 31 as Gus Atkinson bagged a 5 for 61, his second 5-wicket haul in the game. In fact, he got 7 in the first innings, so 12 in the games on debut. James Anderson claimed 3 for 32 to end his illustrious 21-year career with 704 wickets from 188 tests. Ben Stokes back 2 for 25. Brathwaite says despite the heavy loss, the players should feel confident they can bounce back in the series.
Quite disappointing, but it's gone. You have 2 test matches left in this series, and we got to look ahead and we got to stay mentally tough. That's important for us. We can't believe that because of this win, we're out of it or anything. We got to dig deep. We got to keep believing. We'll keep stressing on it. It's easy to give up. It's easy to say that you can't get it done. But we got to keep believing and keep supporting one another.
Craig Brathwaite, captain of the West Indies Test team. The second test starts on July 18, over there in Trentbridge. July 18 at Trentbridge. The West Indies Rising Star Under-19 tournament opener between defending champions Jamaica and the Windward Islands ended in a draw at Arnesvale in St. Vincent and the Grenadines today after rain washed out the day's play. The Windwards, who resumed their second innings on 27 without loss, added 17 runs this morning before the players were forced off the field for good because of a heavy downpour. Scores in the game: the Windward Islands 135 and 44 without loss. Jamaica 146 for 8 declared. The Jamaicans will next be in action starting Sunday against Trinidad and Tobago at Park Hill in Conakry. The game between the Leeward Islands and Guyana at Park Hill also ended in a draw. No play was possible on the final day. The Leewards were set to resume on 84 for 2, replying to Guyana's 111 all out. Over at Sion Hill, Barbados 200 for 9 declared, and Trinidad and Tobago 51 for 3 also had to settle for a share of the points in a drawn game. And it's now time for the Nationwide Olympic Fact. It's sponsored by Fontana Pharmacy.
This is Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Fontana Pharmacy. It's all good inside.
Did you know that Jamaican athletes competed as part of a unified Caribbean team at one Olympic Games? Yes, that's a fact. Jamaica's athletes competed as part of the West Indies Federation team at the 1960 Olympics in Rome.
That was Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Fontana Pharmacy. It's all good inside.
Yeah, folks, we've got 14 days before the start of the Olympics, exactly 2 weeks from today. At sports, we're going to be back with more at 6:05.
The Office of the Information Commissioner, OIC, is Jamaica's data protection regulator. We're here to ensure large and small, public and private data controllers comply with the Data Protection Act. All data controllers must register with the OIC and process personal data in accordance with the law. Help us create a data-safe society for all. For more information, call us at 876-929-6952. Visit our website at oic.gov.jm. The OIC, your data, your rights protected.
This summer, transform your summer body with Express Fitness Gym. For just $9,500 on AutoPay, you'll get access to all our locations 24/7. Enjoy free classes, fully air-conditioned facilities, showers, and changing rooms. Plus, our certified trainers are here to help you reach your goals. Visit Express Fitness Gym today. Your goal is our mission. Find a location near you or sign up now at pay.expressfitnessja.com.
Is your Strata filing its annual returns? In keeping with the Registration Strata Titles Act, Strata corporations are required to submit an audited financial statement or a copy of its accounts, prepared in keeping with generally accepted accounting principles, signed by the chairman and at least one other member of the executive committee. This must be submitted annually to the Commission of Strata Corporations within 120 days after the end of the financial year. For more information, contact the Commission of Strata Corporations at 926-9748-9.
I pursue opportunities.
I prepare for opportunities.
I plan for opportunities.
With Sagicor e-Invest, you can prepare, plan for and pursue IPO opportunities. Browse IPOs, review IPO details and prospectuses. Select and apply for a featured IPO.
I-P-O.
With Sagicor e-Invest. Think wealth. Visit sagicor.com.
On July 18 and 19, Privacy and Legal Management Consultants Limited will show you how to take control of your data with top-notch privatization solutions offered at their Prioritizing Privacy conference. This conference is dedicated to informing the public about the latest innovations and best practices in data privacy. Cliff Hughes Online will broadcast live from the conference on July 18 and 19 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Tune in for insightful discussions with speakers from Trinidad, Barbados, the United Kingdom, and Jamaica, and explore the future of data protection. You don't want to miss this. That's a live broadcast of the Prioritizing Privacy Conference on July 18 and 19 during Cliff Hughes Online, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by Privacy and Legal Management Consultants.
Get ready for a show like no other. That's right. Every Sunday from 8:15 p.m. to 9:15 p.m., we're bringing you the Harvest Hour, only on Nationwide 90 FM. Join us as we dive into a soothing religious program created for your mind, body, and soul. The World Harvest Mission Church, creators of the Harvest Hour, is dedicated to making your Sundays God-fearing and saintly. Get a front row seat to moving sermons and affectionate worshiping. That's the Harvest Hour, every Sunday from 8:15 p.m. to 9:15 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Stay ahead of the curve with our cutting-edge reporting and accurate breaking news coverage.
We're having an earthquake. Oh, God.
Hear it here first on Nationwide 90 FM.
Is that really Cliff Hughes talking?
Tune in, turn up the volume, and listen. We bring a mix of news, entertainment, and sports to your lives.
Nationwide 90 FM's live and continuous coverage of the World Championships in Budapest, Hungary.
News and discussions week mornings.
Coming up in the news at 6 for this morning.
Entertainment in the afternoons, then news again in the evenings.
Nationwide news at this hour, fired.
Also tune in to the entertainment and sports shows in the nights and on the weekends.
It is Boy Things After Dark right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
Everything is news, from current affairs and entertainment to sports, business, and other categories.
Nationwide 90 FM. This is Beanie Man. Give it to them. Zaga, Zen.
From every whisper to every commotion.
That's rubbish. The KSAMC cannot investigate itself.
Was Cliff Hughes really talking like that?
Every news story unfolds here first at Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Every sound is a story, and every story we share is news.
Good evening. Welcome to Nationwide at 5. My name is Sanjay Lewis, and we have with us the man they call Teacher. Franklin, how are you this evening?
I'm wonderful.
Wonderful.
How are you?
I am great, I'm living, so I'm thankful for life.
Wonderful. Well, let me extend my welcome
yes.
even from the outside.
Thank you so much. Let's get to business. So the Opposition People's National Party, the PNP, is maintaining that the Integrity Commission does in fact advise parliamentarians when they are under investigation for illicit enrichment. It's calling on the governing Jamaica Labour Party, the JLP, to be honest with the Jamaican people on the matter.
The PNP statement follows one from the JLP, in which Senator Charles Sinclair denied that the parliamentarians are formally advised when the commission opens a probe into the sources of their wealth. He dismissed Golding's claim as an untrustworthy attempt to score political points.
The PNP president continues to mislead and spread mischief concerning the issue of alleged illicit enrichment and Integrity Commission investigations. The fact is, it's virtually impossible for the PNP president to state with any certainty that no parliamentarian on his side is under probe. As far as I'm aware, the commission does not, as a matter of practice, write to individuals and state specifically that they are under probe for illicit enrichment. It's important that the country be clear that concerning this matter, the PNP and its president have been up to mischief and have been attempting to mislead the people for their own political gain and advantage.
That's Senator Charles Sinclair, the JLP's Deputy General Secretary. But the PNP's spokesperson on information and public communication, Nikisha Burchell, says Senator Sinclair's comment amounts to misinformation and misdirection.
We are saying that the JLP is fully aware that, to the contrary, the Integrity Commission does write to individuals who are under investigation for illicit enrichment and advises them of such investigation. This protocol, we know, is in place to ensure that those under scrutiny are aware of their status and can respond appropriately.
That's Nikisha Burchell, opposition spokesperson on information and public communication.
Now, opposition leader Mark Golding has indicated that no opposition parliamentarian is aware of being under investigation for illicit enrichment. Ms. Burchell says the Integrity Commission has made it clear that any lawmaker under investigation would be advised.
And the opposition spokesperson on information says she's calling on the leadership of the Jamaica Labour Party to publicly declare the status of all parliamentarians who sit on the government bench. She says the matter has the potential to derail the government. Joining us to discuss further, we are joined now by the General Secretary of the People's National Party, Dr. Dayton Campbell, and we are to be joined by the President of Generation 2000, the G2K, Shane Carr, but we're unable to get him. So we'll begin with Dr. Campbell. Good evening, Dr. Campbell.
Good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Campbell.
Thank you as always. Charles Sinclair, the Deputy General Secretary of the JLP, says as far as he's aware, Dr. Campbell, the Commission does not, as a matter of practice, write to individuals and state specifically that they are under probe for illicit enrichment. Your party says not so. What is your understanding of the process?
Well, either Mr. Sinclair does not read well or it doesn't read with understanding. This matter came about by us seeing it in the annual report of the Integrity Commission last year that 6 parliamentarians are under investigation. There are 2 committees currently that are looking at the Integrity Commission Act. And at one of the committee meetings, Member of Parliament from Southeast St. Andrew, Julian Robinson, asked the Director of Investigation, Mr. Kevin Stevenson, if persons are informed when they are being investigated. He responded to say, yes, once you're being investigated for illicit enrichment, that you would have to be informed so you can answer as to the source of your wealth. Subsequent to that, in an email in August of last year, the Executive Director of the Integrity Commission, Greg Christie, wrote stating verbatim that he's communicating the position about whether or not persons are investigated, as was communicated by the Director of Investigation. And it states explicitly in writing that those persons who are under investigation for illicit enrichment would have to be told. So there is the video evidence of the response in Parliament, and there is the email evidence. None of this is a fabrication of the People's National Party. This is information that we are privy to. Now, having seen that, what we did was to ask our 22 parliamentarians, 14 members of the lower house, often referred to as members of parliament, and 8 senators, 22 in total. And they have said that they have not been communicated to say that they are being investigated.
And Senator Sinclair has shot back at that, though, Dr. Campbell. He did indicate that anyone can say that they're not under investigation, but you don't know for certainty because your members could tell you anything.
My brother, what it is that a political party can ask of their members. Here is Senator Sinclair saying that anybody can say this, whilst at the same time he himself as a senator has not come out to declare his position. So here you have 49 members of the House, or 48 because one resigned, and 13 senators who have refused to say to the public that they are not being investigated, whilst at the same time accusing those who have said that they are not to say that they are lying, whilst they themselves have not declared their position. Let me go further. In November of last year, there was a report in one of the daily papers where it says that the Integrity Commission called in a Jamaica Labour Party member of Parliament for them to be interviewed about illicit enrichment. That was carried in the national papers.
Hold that
Dr.
point.
Campbell, why is it?
Just before
well,
that,
let's
take
come
the
back
break.
to you after the break.
Yeah, let's take the break and come back to continue.
How much for your drink a rare rum? How much for your flask? How much for your drink a rare rum? How much for your flask? When you head to the bar, feel all our vibes and parts. Spend 15 bills, get a queue, feed the crew. Or spend 250 for a drink for you or your boo. How much for your drink a rare rum? How much for your flask? How much for your drink a rare rum? How much for your flask?
Must be 18 years older to drink responsibly.
Presenting another finalist in the 2024 Jamaica Festival Song Competition.
Wagwan Jamaica, it's your girl Tristar, and my song is Jamaica, Jamaica. Jamaica, Jamaica, sweet and nice. We love your little island vibe. Jamaica, Jamaica, the island notes. How many one people we rise? Tell them say we lick but we tell our sweet
Jamaica Festival 2024.
Treatment for drinking water. Following the passage of Hurricane Beryl, members of the public are reminded to treat their drinking water before consumption. Water can be treated by boiling or adding bleach. Here are some tips to help you. For boiling water, water that is boiled for treating should be heated until it comes to a rolling boil, where bubbles continuously come to the surface of the water. Allow water to boil for 1 minute. Cover and let cool. Store water in a clean, covered container. For adding bleach, you may also add 3% or 5% household bleach, not bulk bleach, to treat drinking water. Add 2 drops of bleach to 1 quart of water. Mix well and leave for 30 minutes before drinking. For further information, please contact the Health Emergency Operations Center at 888-1-LOVE. That's 888-663-5683.
This is a public service announcement from the Jamaica Public Service. The JPS is warning the public against making payments to impersonators offering to reconnect electricity for a fee. Not only is this practice illegal, but it also puts the lives of customers and JPS workers on the lines at serious risk. Please be reminded that every legitimate JPS workers will have their photo IDs and will not solicit payment to have lights reconnected. For updates on restoration, follow their social media pages at MyJPS Online. Thanks for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. My name is Sanjay Lewis, and we have Franklin McKnight, who is my co-host. But just before Franklin McKnight comes back, I just want to let our listeners know that we did, in fact, invite Charles Sinclair to speak with us, and he also declined the invitation. We have Dr. Dayton Campbell, the General Secretary of the People's National Party, with us.
Dr. Campbell, yes, thank you. Dr. Campbell, why is it so important to state whether the party members say they're under investigation or illicit enrichment? Under investigation now. That's what we're talking about.
Right. So, as I'm saying, let us chronicle and get the events, the sequel of events correct. We got a report from the Integrity Commission that says that 6 parliamentarians are under investigation. That was in their annual report last year. This year, there's a report saying 2. And then they issued a release to clarify the position to say that makes it cumulatively 8. Members of the public are concerned that here you have parliamentarians whose assets are above what they earn. So they have
alleged to be.
Right. That's the concern, right? And they've launched an investigation. We're reviewing the Integrity Commission Act. On the committee reviewing the act are parliamentarians who are using their position in Parliament to prescribe what should or should not be in the Act. Persons have said it would not be right for somebody who is under investigation to use that opportunity on one of the committees to try and reduce the roles and responsibility, the functions of the Integrity Commission. Additionally, it is a serious crime that is being alleged. And persons would want to know that those who are representing you in the parliament are not guilty of such a crime. Now, Sinclair has said two different things. Firstly, he said that the Integrity Commission does not inform you about it. When we responded and we provided the evidence, he moved to say that anybody can say they are not being investigated. So now his position has moved from they've not said it to persons that they don't say to persons to, they may say to persons and they lie about it. His position is mobile.
But let me flip that, Dr. Campbell. Let me flip that because...
Let me read to you. Let me read to you exactly. Let me read to you exactly what the email says from the executive director of the Integrity Commission, and you can tell me as to whether or not, or as to what your opinion is. The email is dated Thursday, August 3, 2023. It says, subject, request for information from Integrity Commission, Parliament Oversight Committee. Dear Ms. Bailey, I am pleased to advise you that the Integrity Commission's Director of Investigation, Mr. Kevin Stevenson, has asked me to provide you with the following verbatim response to your Honorable Committee's inquiry. Quote, all declarants who are being investigated for illicit enrichment must be so advised. Declarants under such an investigation must, by law, be given an opportunity to explain how they came by their assets. End of quote.
And that is the point that I was going to go at, Dr. Campbell, because isn't it better to wait until the Integrity Commission conclude its investigation? Because the Integrity Commission did indicate, and Senator Sinclair also said it in his release, that the Director of Information and Complaints is compelled to record the complaint or whatever report that they receive. And then they submit it to the appropriate director of the commission for them to take action. The commission is also lawfully will make a note of the probe in its annual report. So anyone can be under investigation based on a complaint
these are
made.
Allegations.
Right. But the investigation has to be done, and it can be turned out to be without merit. So why not wait until the investigation has been completed before anyone decides to come out to say anything?
Well, your initial question was, isn't it better? And I went to good school, so I don't want to use a question to answer a question. But I'm asking, isn't it better for who? Here we have a country, right, where there is an allegation that parliamentarians are enriching themselves, and there are parliamentarians seated on an oversight committee that is reviewing the law, that can make recommendations to say, for instance, the Auditor General should not be a commissioner of the Integrity Commission. People can make far-reaching recommendations. It could be that the very persons who are making those recommendations are the persons who are trying to neuter an institution because they're under investigation. I think it is fittingly appropriate and appropriately fitting for those persons to recluse themselves if they are among the persons who are being investigated. No, what we have said is that persons should come forward and recluse themselves. That does not mean that the person would leave the parliament. It simply means that they would recluse themselves from the committee that is doing the review of the act. I think that is a fair position.
So Dr. Campbell, just a clarification there. Your concern is with the persons, the people on the oversight committee, or your concern is that these 8 people mentioned are sitting in the parliament and you want to know who they are?
Remember, we do not have recall in Jamaica, We do not have electoral recall, We cannot recall anybody. When we put forward the bill for impeachment, which was drafted and tabled as a private member's bill by the leader of the PNP, Mark Golding, the JLP has not taken that bill to the House for it to be debated in over 3 years. So we could not ask that it could be, a request could come that these persons should resign from the parliament. But what we have said is that these persons
you misunderstood me.
Themselves from the committees that are reviewing. There are 2 committees.
And if they are not on, okay, go ahead.
Right, and I hear the young lady from Jamaica for Justice and another talk show host. They keep making the point. Jamaica is not just the JLP and the PNP. There are other members of the society who have also expressed concerns, right? It is It is
so now you
concerning.
want the JLP administration to you want somebody in the JLP to say you want the JLP to say we have asked our members and then give us what the response is from the members.
But there were members in the JLP that were willing to come out to do that. And the Prime Minister of the country placed a gag order on them not to do so.
But Dr. Campbell, the point still remains that anyone can make a report to the Integrity Commission. The Integrity Commission can determine. No. Let me finish the point. No. Let me finish the point, Dr. Campbell. No, but what I'm saying is the process is that a report can be made to the Director of Information and Complaints. That individual can then decide that it reaches the level where it sends to the commissioner and they decide if an investigation should happen. The investigation could be completed and it is without merit. So why then should someone come to incriminate themselves before the process completes?
It is very noteworthy that such a view has been taken, right? And I dare say it is an uninformed view because, one, you could have complained. You have assumed that these investigations are based on complaints. You also have the annual responsibility.
Not hearing you, Dr. Campbell. Could you speak back in the headset?
You also have the annual responsibility for you to submit your income, assets, and liabilities, which could trigger an investigation. I don't know how you have concluded that this is based on somebody making a report and that this is not based on an examination of persons' income, assets, and liabilities. Clearly, the Information and Compliance Department, Complaints Department of the Integrity Commission would have gone through several times. All of us who have ever been in Parliament, you'd have been written to provide additional information, and nobody knows about that. It doesn't end up in any report because there is a long process with that department to ask you for additional information about a bank account there, a vehicle there, whatever it is. It is when people cannot get information or when, based on their formulation that they have, based on your income, what you have declared is above what you should be able to afford, that they refer the matter for investigation over to now the department that deals with investigation. They then go
Dr. Campbell, can you tell us now what you are expecting from the governing Jamaica Labour Party?
I think all well-thinking Jamaicans should be concerned if they have a parliament and there is a report from the Integrity Commission, that is the oversight body that has been put in place to ensure that those members are above board. I've reported that they're investigating members there for illicit enrichment. I think all well-thinking Jamaicans should be concerned. And they should demand of all the parliamentarians within the parliament to say whether or not they have been so contacted. In a Jamaica Gleaner story in November, it says that IC called meeting with JP MP with possible illicit enrichment. So it is not that persons are unaware that they are being investigated. All well-thinking Jamaicans should be concerned that a Prime Minister of a country for 3 years, his income, assets, and liability cannot be certified. That is unacceptable. This is not a banana republic. That is unacceptable in the history of the country. It has never happened before, and it should not be tolerated now.
Before you go, Dr. Campbell, I have another matter that I want to put to you, that of the president of the People's National Party, Mark Golding. He indicated that he will renounce his British citizenship. Did he start the process of renouncing?
There we go again. That is a matter that to be in the Jamaican Parliament, there are qualifications. You have to be a member of the British Commonwealth. It has always been that way because of our historically how Jamaica was governed, was a colony of Great Britain. So before the Constitution in 1962, when we got universal adult suffrage, you had to be a British subject. That is why Mr. Siaga had to renounce his U.S. citizenship. It wasn't any moral decision. It was required by
No, but
law.
Dr. Campbell, that's not... No.
But
Answer the question because that has nothing... We understand... No, but hold on, Dr. Campbell.
Answer, please.
Yes, go ahead.
Answer. Right, so here we are now at a position where this is allowed constitutionally. The leader of the party has said that he is going to renounce it despite it being legal.
I hear you, but I'm asking you, did he start the process?
I heard you earlier. earlier.
Well, Dr. Campbell, you can't just say where we are.
No, man.
Dr. Campbell, people are concerned. They would love to know. They would love to know whether Mr. Golding has gone any further down the wicket.
No, man. You don't have the benefit of asking and answering the question. You ask the question.
No, but Dr. Campbell, we just want an answer for the question.
No, because then you quote me in an article in something that I did not say. So I want to put the context there so when persons are listening, they can see for themselves whether or not the article represents what I said. So I am not going down that road of being dictated to how I should answer questions. Certainly,
Dr. Campbell, let's just ask again because we're running out of time. Has the opposition leader gone any further in the process of renunciating his citizenship?
My information is that the opposition leader is renouncing his British citizenship, which is not legally required, and I'm amazed that there's an...
So he hasn't started the process then, Dr. Campbell? Because I'm out of time. I just need to know. Did he start the process?
You'd have to ask him that. I haven't asked
So you're not aware that he started the process?
I haven't asked him.
So you're not aware?
I haven't asked him. But you should have the same interest in the persons in the parliament who are being investigated.
Of course, equally.
Dr. Campbell, we wanted to speak with the JLP representatives. Dr. Campbell, we wanted, and as we said earlier, we reached out to them, and we reached out.
So in essence, then, Dr. Campbell,
Senator Sinclair,
we're out of time.
Unable to be here.
We're out of time. But Dr. Campbell, you're confirming that you're not aware that Mark Golding has started the process of renouncing.
Renunciation of his British citizenship, which is not legally required.
I know that, but he did say that he will renounce.
Yes, he has said so.
So he started the process.
If you want an update on that process, then you'd have to speak.
So you're not aware.
I haven't asked him.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. We're out of time.
You're welcome.
That's it for the cover story.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell.
The news at 6 is next.
Say hello to peace of mind and goodbye to worry with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan and secure your medical expenses in the event of critical illness today. Call 888-367-5433 for details.
The time by Guardian Life is
6:01.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Robian Williams. The opposition People's National Party, PNP, is maintaining that the Integrity Commission does in fact advise parliamentarians when they are under investigation for illicit enrichment. It's calling on the governing Jamaica Labour Party to be honest with the Jamaican people on the matter. Norgay Banton has more in this report.
The PNP statement follows one from the JLP in which Senator Charles Sinclair denied that parliamentarians are formally advised when the commission opens a probe into the source of their wealth. But the PNP says Senator Sinclair's comments amount to misinformation and misdirection. Nikisha Burchell is the PNP's spokesperson on information and public communication.
We are saying that the JLP is fully aware that, to the contrary, the Integrity Commission does write to individuals who are under investigation for illicit enrichment and advises them of such investigation. This protocol, we know, is in place to ensure that those under scrutiny are aware of their status and can respond appropriately.
Opposition leader Mark Golding has indicated that no opposition parliamentarian is aware of being under investigation for illicit enrichment. Ms. Burchell says the Integrity Commission has made it clear that any lawmaker under investigation would be advised.
In a public statement in Parliament, the Commission's Director of Investigation, Kevin Stevenson, said, and I'm going to quote him here, he said, all declarants who are being investigated for illicit enrichment must be so advised. Declarants under such an investigation must by law be given an opportunity to explain how they came by their assets. That's a direct quote. In fact, the same statement was shared by the Integrity Commission's Executive Director, Greg Christie, via an email to Parliament in August 2023.
The opposition spokesperson on information says she's calling on the leadership of the Jamaica Labour Party to publicly declare the status of all parliamentarians who sit on the government benches. She says the matter has the potential to derail the government.
We therefore challenge Mr. Sinclair, the Prime Minister and the entire Jamaica Labour Party to state unequivocally whether any of their members are under investigation for illicit enrichment. We just want to remind the Jamaica Labour Party that the historically unprecedented case of 8 parliamentarians being under investigation by the country's integrity watchdog for illicit enrichment is a serious matter. This has a potential to derail any government and cause irrevocable damage to a country's reputation.
The opposition says it continues to call on all parliamentarians to uphold the highest standards in public life. Norige Banton for Nationwide News.
Attorney for murder convict Michael Adams, Sanjay Smith, has asked the court to be merciful when handing down a sentence to his client. Smith was making final submissions during a sentencing hearing in the Home Circuit Court in downtown Kingston on Thursday. In May, Adams was convicted of the murder and conspiracy to murder of businesswoman Simone Campbell Collymore and her taxi driver Winston Walters. Simone's husband, Omar Collymore, and 2 others, Shaquilla Edwards and Dwayne Pink, were also found guilty. Michael Adams was contracted to kill Simone by her husband, Omar. In his submissions, attorney Sanjay Smith asked the court to consider a starting point of 30 years before Adams would be eligible for parole in relation to Simone's killing. For Winston Walters' murder, Mr. Smith suggested a starting point of 35 years, and for the conspiracy charge, 5 years. Meanwhile, attorney for Shaquilla Edwards, Janoy McDonald, asked that her client not be treated the same as the other accused men. Edwards was only convicted of conspiracy to murder. Previously in the trial, Ms. McDonald told the court that her client was not present when the plan was being hatched. She noted that Edwards did not hide the fact that he knew the men were conspiring to kill Simone. She recommended a starting point ranging from 5 to 6 years before eligibility for parole. The Parliament has denied claims that Speaker Juliet Holness issued a directive cancelling parliamentary committee meetings. The matter came up at Tuesday's meeting of the Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, PAAC. Member of Parliament for South St. Catherine Fitz Jackson, along with Chairman of the PAAC, Michael Phillips, blasted Mrs. Holness for unilaterally cancelling the committee meetings. But in a statement on Friday, the Parliament says that never happened. It says there was miscommunication around the decision. Parliament says Mrs. Holness expressed concerns that there would be difficulties making contact with members in light of Hurricane Beryl. Some meetings were cancelled due to the unavailability of members to form a quorum. The statement says given the extensive destruction caused by Hurricane Beryl and the need for members to assist with recovery efforts, there was also concern that members would be unable to attend electricity. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Robeanne Williams. Sports is next.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
The Office of the Information Commissioner, OIC, is Jamaica's data protection regulator. We're here to ensure large and small, public and private data controllers comply with the Data Protection Act. All data controllers must register with the OIC and process personal data in accordance with the law. Help us create a data-safe society for all. For more information, call us at 876-929-6952. Visit our website at oic.gov.jm. The OIC, your data, your rights protected.
Treatment for drinking water. Following the passage of Hurricane Beryl, members of the public are reminded to treat their drinking water before consumption. Water can be treated by boiling or adding bleach. Here are some tips to help you. For boiling water, water that is boiled for treating should be heated until it comes to a rolling boil, where bubbles continuously come to the surface of the water. Allow water to boil for 1 minute. Cover and let cool. Store water in a clean, covered container. For adding bleach, you may also add 3% or 5% household bleach, not bulk bleach, to treat drinking water. Add 2 drops of bleach to 1 quart of water. Mix well and leave for 30 minutes before drinking. For further information, please contact the Health Emergency Operations Center at 888-1-LOVE. That's 888-663-5683.
You can have it all. Company events, birthday parties, or the wedding of your dreams. It's all possible at Grand Palladium Hotels and Resorts. We have magnificent event rooms and a dedicated team that will make your event the best experience that only Grand Palladium Hotels and Resorts can offer. Contact us at 876-619-0000 or call your favorite travel agency and ask about our promotion designed especially for you.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alrix Raby. We begin with track and field. Now, there were 3 fourth-place finishes for Jamaican athletes at today's Monaco Diamond League meeting at the Stade Louis II Stadium in the French municipality. National champion Malik James King clocked 47.73 seconds in the men's 400 meters hurdles, beaten by the 3 fastest men ever over the distance. Rai Benjamin won in 46.67 seconds ahead of Olympic champion Kristen Varholm 46.73 seconds and Alison Dos Santos 47.18 seconds. Shanika Ricketts was 4th in the women's triple jump with a leap of 14.67 meters and Akila Smith 5th with 14.30 meters. Victory went to the Paris Olympic favorite Lianis Hernandez of Cuba in 14.96 meters. Former national champion Andrew Hudson also had to settle for 4th in the men's 200 meters in 20.43 seconds as Botswana's young star Letsil Tbogo won in 19.87 seconds. The next Diamond League will be in London July 20, the last before the Paris Olympic Games. Former Calabar High School standout Kemar Farquharson has dismissed reports that he was removed from Jamaica's team to the Paris Olympics because of an injury. Farquharson was selected as a reserve for the mixed open 4x400 meters relay. He competed at the national trials and he was a part of the 6-member team that competed at the New Life Invitational in the Bahamas in a bid to secure a spot for the men's mile relay team to the Paris Olympics. Farquharson, who competes for Texas A&M, says there's no truth to claims that he is injured.
Whenever I speak with somebody, they they always be like, I'm going to get back to you. I'm going to talk to somebody, they always be like, they're going to get back to me or something. And so the issue was nothing injury or anything, because I was training up to yesterday when the public say I'm not on the team no longer. Right? So it was nothing about injury. They said that I didn't send them my passport in time. So I didn't get any email from them to submit my passport or anything like that.
He says competing at the Olympics changed the marketability of an athlete. Farquharson believes he was robbed of an opportunity to showcase his talent on the biggest stage in sport.
This is something that every athlete dreams to go. Olympics is like a big thing for every athlete. So this is something I was dreamed to be a part of, And then I finally worked hard and actually reached, and then the last minute, they're going to replace me with somebody else,
Anthony Cox of Chase Athletics, who finished 6th in 46.20 seconds at the National Championships last month, has been brought in as replacement. Parkinson says communication skills at the J3As need improving.
They could at least say to me, because nobody will say anything to me, you know what I mean? Like, because they would be like, oh, Kimari, I'm sorry for this happened, but we replace it with this person, you know? They keep on be like, hey, I'm going to get back to you, I'm going to get back to you. As I get information, I'm going to get back to you. Up to now, nobody doesn't get back to me. On the paper, they say that they choose my replacement on Monday, right? But I call them Tuesday and ask them about update on my situation. They keep on saying that they're going to get back to me when they already know, make decision long before. And you know what I mean, they should at least say that. That's my own group issue.
Come on, Farquharson. Now on to cricket, as West Indies captain Craig Brathwaite is urging his team to quickly put behind them today's heavy defeat to England in the first test at Lord's and look ahead to the next 2 matches in the series. The Caribbean team suffered a crushing innings and 114-run defeat inside 3 days to go 1-0 down in the 3-match series. The hosts needed little over an hour on Friday morning to remove the last 4 West Indies wickets as they crumbled for 136. Gulakesh Moti ended unbeaten on 31 as Gus Atkinson bagged 5 for 6-1, his second 5-wicket haul in the match. James Anderson claimed 3 for 32 to end his illustrious 21-year career with 704 wickets from 188 tests, and Ben Stokes 2 for 25. Brathwaite says, despite the heavy loss, the players should feel confident they can bounce back in the series.
Quite disappointing, but it's gone. You know, you have 2 test matches left in this series, and we got to look ahead and we got to stay mentally tough. That's important for us. You know, we can't believe that because of this win, you know, we're out of it or anything. We got to dig deep. We got to keep believing. You know, we'll keep stressing on it. You know, it's easy to give up. It's easy to say that you can't get it done. But we got to keep believing and keep supporting one another.
He says they were in a similar situation on the tour of Australia.
Test cricket is always a challenge. It's never easy. But as I tell the boys, you know, seeing it for myself, you just got to stay mentally tough. You got to believe that, you know, some things are around the corner. Just keep doing the right things and everything will work out. Yeah, for sure. You know, every individual I believe in 100%, and I know they could get the job done at this level against England in England. So yeah, I believe it for sure.
Craig Brathwaite. The second test begins on July 18 at Trent Bridge. The West Indies Rising Star Under-19 tournament opener between defending champions Jamaica and the Windward Islands ended in a draw at Honest Vale in St. Vincent and the Grenadines today after rain washed out the day's play. The Windwards, who resumed their second innings on 27 without loss, added 17 runs this morning before the players were forced off the field for good because of a heavy downpour. Scores in the game: Windward Islands 135 and 44 without loss, Jamaica 146 for 8 declared. The Jamaicans will next be in action starting on Sunday against Trinidad and Tobago at Park Hill in Canary. The game between the Leeward Islands and Guyana at Park Hill also ended in a draw. No play was possible on the final day. The Leeward were set to resume on 84 for 2, replying to Guyana's 111 all out. Over at Sand Hill, Barbados 200 for 9 declared, and Trinidad and Tobago 51 for 3 also had to settle for a share of the points in a drawn game. Now on to football, as former national senior men's football head coach Amir Hallgrimsson was paid $40,000 per month to coach the team up to the time of his resignation. Hallgrimsson initially signed on with the JFF for $360,000 per year plus housing and accommodation. However, he was given a salary increase over time, pushing the figure to $40,000 a month or 6.2 million Jamaican dollars per month. The contract also stated that Hallgrimsson is paid a percentage of monies earned from tournament for which he qualified the team. Hallgrimsson's current deal with the Irish Federation is $35 million more than he was earning in Jamaica. England and Spain are set to meet in the Euro 2024 final on Sunday. Gareth Southgate has guided the Three Lions to back-to-back Euros finals, and a first continental crown is once again within reach. Ollie Watkins fired home a 90th-minute winner against the Netherlands to secure a memorable win in the semi-final after England came from behind for a third game in a row. However, they will not be in the favourite to beat Spain, who are the tournament's top scorers. La Roja booked their place in a fifth Euro 2024 showpiece on Tuesday after a thrilling 2-1 win over pre-tournament favourites France in Munich. The stage is set for a thrilling encounter between Argentina and Colombia in the final of the Copa America at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami on Sunday. This match isn't just another final. It's a historic event that could see Argentina surpass Uruguay as the most successful team in Copa America history. Argentina enters this match as the defending champions, having navigated through the tournament with remarkable efficiency. Their journey to the final was highlighted by a dominant performance against Canada in the semi-finals, a match that reinforced their status as continental heavyweights. The team's reliance is underscored by their formidable defense, which has conceded just one goal throughout the tournament. Now on to tennis, as Novak Djokovic outclassed Italian underdog Lorenzo Musetti to reach the Wimbledon final and set up a showdown with reigning champion Carlos Alcaraz in a repeat of last year's final. The 37-year-old impressed as he stayed on course for a record-equaling 8th men's singles title at Wimbledon with a 6-4, 7-6, 6-4 victory. Musetti had one chance to get the break back in the final set, but sent a forehand into the net and crouched down with his head in his hands, knowing the end was near. Djokovic made sure his opponent did not get another opportunity. Head of Delegation for the Jamaica-China Sports Technical Exchange Program, Professor Dr. Camila Hilton, says the participants are settling in well since arriving in China earlier this month. The delegation includes participants from the Jamaica Volleyball Association, Women's Volleyball, Jamaica Football Federation, Women's Football, and Jamaica Basketball Association, Women's Basketball. The Jamaica Amateur Gymnastic Association, Aquatic Sports Association of Jamaica, and Jamaica Badminton Association are also participating. Dr. Hilton says the experience will make the athletes more competitive.
The athletes are in fact adjusting despite the intensity of the training sessions and in fact have described it as a challenge that they are up to. The coaches are also indicating that they are learning from their Chinese counterparts and are appreciating the experience. Additionally, they have come with an open mind and so are appreciating the differences in culture. In essence, the teams are adjusting well and are appreciating the new environment.
Professor Dr. Camila Hilton. It's now time for the Nationwide Olympic Fact, sponsored by Rainforest Caribbean.
This is Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Rainforest Caribbean. Make delicious moments.
Did you know that Janelle Atkinson was the first Jamaican female swimmer to reach an Olympic final? Yes, that's a fact. Atkinson made history on September 17 at age 17 at the 2000 Sydney Olympics. Competing in the 400 meters freestyle, she set the national record of 4 minutes 09.61 seconds to be third from the qualifying rounds. In the final, she placed fourth in a still-standing national record of 4 minutes 08.79 seconds. She was not only the first Jamaican woman, but also the first Caribbean woman to make that final.
That was Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Rainforest Caribbean. Make delicious moments.
There you have it, Nationwide's Olympic Fact, sponsored by Rainforest Caribbean. I'm Alex Ribby, and that's your sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:23.
For hard-to-get medications, over-the-counter and chemotherapy drugs, visit Dean's Pharmacy Pepin. When others don't have it, we do. Dean's Pharmacy. Feeling better starts right here.
The temperature by Dean's Pharmacy, feeling better, starts right here, is
32 degrees Celsius in City Kingston and 31 in Montego Bay.
Does your bra ride up your back?
Do your shoulders hurt from carrying the weight of your breasts? These are signs of an ill-fitting bra. When was the last time you were fitted by a bra fit specialist? The bra experts at LaBelle Femme will take care of you. Drop into the store at 53 Lady Musgrave Road, Tuesdays to Saturdays from 10 to 5, and you will see the difference. Or call 876-622-6091.
I pursue opportunities.
I prepare for opportunities.
I plan for opportunities.
With Sagicor e-Invest, you can prepare, plan for, and pursue IPO opportunities. Browse IPOs, review IPO details and prospectuses. Select and apply for a featured IPO.
I-P-O.
With Sagicor e-Invest. Think wealth. Visit sagicor.com.
More savings, more choices. Get active with Active Home Center. The one-stop shop for everything for your home. We have more savings, more choices, unbelievable prices. Wide selection with the latest styles. The kitchen, bathroom, right down to the tile. Buy the hottest items on spot, don't miss out. Best options under one roof, no doubt. More savings, more choices.
Visit us in store or online at www.activehomecenter.com.
We have more savings, more choices.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Mahiri Stewart. So happy to have you all here for Public Opinion today. YouTubers, feel free to weigh in live on today's Public Opinion as always. So for today's Public Opinion, I'm going to just go right into it because hopefully by now you've all seen the video of a man that put 11 passengers into one public transport vehicle. He was arrested and charged today on multiple charges. But in light of that video, which I'm sure you've all seen, today's Public Opinion question is, what are your red flags when taking public transportation, right? And Let's go through some of the answers, shall we? So I'm on Facebook right now, and the first comment I see is Robert Ranger, and he says, whole heap of attitude, attire, mannerisms, and overall their conduct, right? Natalie Winter says, very long wait for government-owned buses on Washington Boulevard. Cherise Sewell says, when a taxi pull up with 3 men, big red flag. When a taxi pulls up with dark tinted windows and he only rolls down the front windows, big red flag. Philip Jackson says, my safety thumps all other complaints. Everything else is secondary. Marvin Reed says, socks, slippers, and marina. And Tamika Ebony says, swinging buses with dark windows. Y'all ever been in a swinging bus before? Y'all ever been in a bus before the whole world is slant because the guy's taking a turn? Your whole body leans to the left or to the right. Crazy, isn't it? I don't like that at all. Annette Wheeler says we don't have enough bus routes and it takes too long to get one. So that's where we're at right now. Let's take a look at X. Let's see what people are saying on X. Winsome says the smell of ganja, an agitated driver. Those are turn-offs. Automatic lock and tinted. All right. Don O'Mealy says from them have on the red plate. Sean Forbes says how the driver dresses. And Brescia says if the driver has to sit in my lap. So there she goes. She's referencing the video that started this Public Opinion at all, right? And Lloyd Kennedy says driver with a special in hand. Smell bad driver and dirty car seats. And last but not least, let's take a look over on Instagram to see what people's red flags are for public transportation, because trust me, folks, I feel like this is something that anybody can answer. Surely everybody in the every YouTuber has a story, a horror story. Yes? Surely. What else we have here? The only Golden Girl says, she's listed a lot of them, yeah? Smelly scents, leg cramps, squeezing, passengers trying to act like they own the car, the driver them chat too much. Cord Connect says, 3 in the back, 1 passenger in the front, the driver not moving. I called him, he said the car not full yet. I told him, let's go, I'll pay extra for the seat. 2 days later, I see him crying and begging the police for mercy. All right, folks. So that's what social media is saying right now. Let's take a look at the YouTubers, yeah? Let's see what we have here. So I think Herman's trying to say frowsy taxi. Y'all ever been in a bad smelling taxi before? Hopefully not, but they exist, yeah? Precious Soul says speeding. I think we can all agree on that one. Nobody likes a taxi driver that's gonna speed. Taxi driver that's gonna overtake long lines of traffic. Very scary situations, yeah? And you realize that there are a lot of instances where people are afraid to tell these taxi drivers to be calm on the road, to not do that, you know? People are afraid to do that, unfortunately, because they're afraid of being cussed out, kicked out of the vehicle. It's pretty bad. Rasta Barbie says, any taxi is a red flag. That's a shame. Aisha Morgan says, when I travel in a Ram car, I cramp up and I can't stand up. That's a shame. Hate that, though. Been there. What else we have here? MS says, you should have seen us going to school back in the day. Bus packed like sardine. Gillette Sanchez says, her big red flag is when there's weed in the mouth of the driver. All right. Aisha Morgan says, no flagging down any random car. Still going through, still trying to see what y'all red flags are. What kind of red flags do you guys have? Passing other cars, and that's what I was talking about earlier, GH. It's a very scary situation, yeah, when people are overtaking the long lines of traffic. Because nothing's stopping a car from being on the other side and just coming down at the same time. Very scary situation. I was telling the folks in the newsroom, I was in a bus once, and there was a hole in the floor, and I could see the road through the floor. Ever since that day, man, if I'm in a bus and I can see the road, if I can see through the floor, if there are any dents, cracks, holes in the floor, that's one of my biggest red flags with public transportation. Very scared of that stuff, man. Fitzalbert Linton says, taxi drivers making a new road beside the main road. Yeah, man. Some of them have a mind they have a mind of their own. The law does not abide. They do abide. Yes. What's that, Mikkel? A hole in the floor? Yes. There was a hole in the floor. I took a video of it a long time ago. But I don't have that phone anymore, man. There was a hole in the floor. I was looking at the road. There was a hole, a crater on the bottom of the bus, right in the floor. Craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Leroy Rutty says, I haven't taken public transportation in decades. Proud of you, bro. Things wasn't too bad when I used to take them. Used to hang out on the doorstep from Price right to downtown. Those days, oh Lord. Wow, okay. All right, folks. Seeing a lot of them, man. Seeing a lot of answers in here. I wish I could read all of them. I think I have enough time to read a couple more. What's this? You're lucky you never grew up during the time we had the Patty Pan minibuses. Not sure what that means. Probably because I wasn't here back then, yeah? But what's this? Mikhail says, how that bus pass conduct on the road? Well, that's a good question. Haven't been in a bus in a long time. I used to take buses when I lived around Constant Spring, but I don't live there anymore. So now the new place I live at, I take taxis, and taxis have their red flags as well. Beverly Ricketts says, Mahiri, you look like Sanjay Lewis. Do I really? That's crazy. You're not the first person to say that, funny enough. But yeah, folks, that's public opinion, yeah? Very good one today. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed reading these answers. Very interesting public opinion. Thank you for sharing your red flags with me and I with you. Stay tuned, though. It's time for the business report.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is...
It's 6:33.
Don't let poor vision hold your children back. IQ Optical gives complimentary standard reflection-free lenses to children and teachers until May 31. Conditions apply.
The temperature by IQ Optical is...
It's 31 degrees Celsius in Kingston and it's 30 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay. Good evening. Welcome to the Business Report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. flows of foreign direct investment into Jamaica, especially in the areas of tourism and outsourcing and information technology, have grown to their highest level since the pandemic, when the flows were decimated amid a lockdown of economies around the world. Jamaica earned US $431 million in FDI in 2023, which was one-third better than the $319 million US dollars of investment flows recorded the previous year, according to the World Investment Report 2024 published by the United Nations. However, FDI flows still trailed the pre-pandemic average of $600 million US dollars a year. Senior advisor in the Ministry of Tourism, Delano Sivright, says growth in foreign investment flows would likely continue due to mega tourism projects in the pipeline. And internationally, price rises in the US cooled in June, building hopes that the world's largest economy is moving on from the bout of high inflation that hit after the pandemic. Prices rose 3% over 12 months to June as lower petrol prices helped to deliver the slowest price inflation in a year, the Labor Department said. It marked the third month in a row that inflation has fallen, easing financial pressures on households and potentially clearing the way for the U.S. Central Bank to cut interest rates as soon as September. The Federal Reserve's key lending rate has stood at more than 5.3%, a roughly two-decade high since last year. Fed officials say high borrowing costs are weighing on the economy, helping to reduce the pressures pushing up prices. Analysts said the latest report could help convince the bank that it has done enough to cure the problem. And in the currency markets, at the close of trading today, it cost 156 Jamaican dollars and 9 cents to buy $1 US. It cost 195 Jamaican dollars and 49 cents to buy $1 British pound and 114 Jamaican dollars and 79 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Stay tuned for more.
Calling all fisher folk and aquaculture farmers. Now you can get your license quick. Log on to iRefins and check out the thing. Use your smartphone and click, register, pay and get your license. Sign up for iRefins, cause real fishermen have them licensing of them on. Go to irefins.nfa.gov.jm or contact the National Fisheries Authority. iRefins is a joint project of the NFA and the Transformation Implementation Unit.
Jamaica, it's here again. Phosphorage, a super summer sale. July 1 to August 31. Come get your wires, breakers, solar flood lamps, LED bulbs, ceiling fans, and so much more. Call 876-937-5099 or visit us in Kingston, Mandeville, Draxall, and Montego Bay. Up to 60% off this summer. Get your solar panels starting from $17,600. Come shop, come save at Phosphorage Super Summer Sale. July 1 to August 31. See you there at Phosphorage. Open Sundays.
Guard against mosquito-borne diseases. Following the passage of Hurricane Beryl, members of the public are reminded to be vigilant in order to prevent mosquito-borne diseases such as dengue. Here are some tips to help you. Search around the home for places where water may have settled and clear them. Use insect repellent containing DEET. Use mosquito nets. Use mosquito destroyer. Put screens on windows and doors. Avoid places with standing water or garbage piles. For further information, please contact the Health Emergency Operations Center at 888-1-LOVE. That's 888-663-5683.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Not a mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all schoolers who are taking them.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team, Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
It's the weekend and the youth are taking over the airwaves. Yes, we are the new voices and faces of the Talk Up You radio show. The voice of the Jamaican youth right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
After a busy week of work and school, come and wine with Jamaica's #1 youth radio show.
We're bringing you entertainment, fun facts, and staying true to youth development and advocacy.
Catch the action each and every Saturday as we roll out buzzy segments. What say you?
Youth for chat,
life skills,
global connect, and Bust the Youth.
That's the Talk Up Youth radio show. Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. Talk Up Youth, Miss Effie.
Talk Up Youth. Don't miss it.
Chewy flavor with delight. It really, really nice. May I say it twice?
The time by Jamaica Mountain Peak Golden Turmeric Latte is...
It's 6:40. Nation's Business is brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
Welcome back to Nationwide at 5. My name is Sanjay Lewis.
I'm Franklin McKnight.
You all right, Franklin?
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Let's get it rolling. So a medical doctor recently took to social media to complain about the food he received during a 32-hour shift while working during Hurricane Beryl. In the post captioned, "Time to eat some government-provided breakfast. Only 6 hours and 15 minutes of this 32-hour shift." He attached a video of a plate with bread and cheese.
Well, the plate is being shown to you on YouTube. Other doctors have responded to the post, sharing their experiences of meals received at the facilities they work. Some have also taken issue with the long hours they have to work.
Well, joining us to discuss further, we have Dr. Jason Strawn. He is a doctor and he was also in the system a few years ago. And we are to be joined by the president of the Jamaica Medical Doctors Association, the JMDA, Dr. Mindy Fitz-Henley. Good afternoon, Dr. Strawn.
Good afternoon,
Doctor. Good afternoon, Sanjay. Hope you're doing well.
Wonderful. And my co-host is Franklin McKnight.
Oh, Franklin, good afternoon to you as well.
Good afternoon, Doctor.
Let me start with, let me jump right to you, Jason. You saw that that video that now it's now viral. Is this the lived reality of the doctors the junior doctors within the system?
Yes, it is. I mean, the more things change, the more they remain the same. I was in the system from 2010 to 2019, and it's very similar. But I mean, you're not going to see that at every single hospital, but you'll see it at a lot of them. But what I think is the overriding theme is that there is somewhat of a disregard from a policy standpoint for when it comes to the welfare, the security, the nourishment of physicians, whether they're on call or just as members of staff in the public health system. So, I mean, when I saw it, I wasn't surprised, actually. It's kind of like, yes, it's kind of what I expected.
But you mentioned there from the policy perspective. I'd just love to know whether shifts are commonly as long as this.
Yes. Yes, they are. So when you're on call, especially when you're a junior, the expectation is that you're going to work from 8 a.m. one day to 8 a.m. the next day. But then you're going to have to complete the following day shift. So that's another 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. shift. But if we're being realistic, and every doctor who's listening or has gone through the system knows that as a junior, your shift does not start at 8. Your shift probably starts at 6:30. So if you're the most junior, you're getting there at 6:30, and your routine, you're leaving there probably about 5 or 6. So your routine, your regular work day when you're not on call is a lot closer to like 10, 11 hours. And then, you know, of course, if you're on call, then you're doing 32 to probably 40 hours straight. And that's with minimal rest in between, because you're only going to get maybe like 3 hours tops if you're good to sleep. But in the meantime, while that's going on, while you're getting sleep, you're still having patients coming in back to back to back that you're going to need to see eventually. So, yeah, it's tireless.
Dr. Strawn, what's the effect of that?
Reality.
What's the effect of that on patient care, though?
Well, I'll ask you. I mean, if you were awake for 32 hours, I mean, how functional would you be? And I mean, doctors are human too. I mean, you're not going to be as sharp as you want to be. You're underfed. You're tired. You're going to make mistakes. The good thing is that, you know, you have seniors who are there who are a lot more rested than you are, because, I mean, they're not going to be awake for 32 hours with you. Some seniors, if you have very good seniors, they will be, but most won't. So, I mean, your ability to adequately manage patients suffers. You're hungry, you're tired, you get snappy. And, I mean, the patients are the ones who suffer the most.
We are now joined by the president of the Jamaica Medical Doctors Association, Dr. Mindy Fitz-Henley. Good afternoon, or good evening, I should say, Dr. Fitz-Henley.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, Dr.
Good evening. There's a photo, Dr. Fitz-Henley, a video on Twitter that went viral, and that's what we're discussing now, highlighting a meal purportedly to be what a doctor received while on shift during Hurricane Beryl. Have you been able to verify if this is in fact true, that your doctors have been receiving meals of this nature?
Well, we had, good evening, thank you for having me. But we did have reports across the board of inadequate preparations made for Hurricane Beryl, and this stretched from provisions for somewhere for them to stay. So they were informed that they're not allowed, while they're on duty riding through the hurricane as essential workers, they're not allowed to leave the premise. However, at many of the hospitals, there was nowhere provided for them to stay. If there was provided somewhere to stay, they were to sleep on the floor or to suddenly bring a sleeping bag. There were places that they were not provided water. There were places that food was an issue across the board. While there were some locations that did adequately provide a cooked meal for the staff, it was not enough to supply everyone, or it was that some persons were not able to get because of, you know, how busy they were and the amount of work that they were doing. But across the board, we would say that there inadequacies and inefficiencies happened in terms of the disaster plans that were put in place for Hurricane Beryl.
Is it a standard that, as part of the contracts that your doctors receive, that they are to be provided with meals, or is it that this was only done because of Hurricane Beryl?
So in the emergency disaster plans that exist, there's actually stipulations and functions that are for each person to perform, whether it's a hurricane watch, hurricane advice, hurricane warning. And under hurricane warning, it is that they are supposed to, meaning the senior staff that exist, whether it's the hospital administrator, the SMOs, or dietitians, they are supposed to be collecting the names of the persons who are on roster duty and would have to stay on for prolonged periods, and they are to provide meals for each of these persons that will physically be on compound. And these lists were provided to all of the senior staff, and so all of the persons who were having to stay on were expecting that meals would have been provided, as that was what they were informed. However, when the time came, unfortunately, these were some of the things that they received, whether it was dry crackers, dry bread. We understand that hurricane food does include dry crackers, dry bread, and tin food, but it can't be that for the entire period, especially when notice was given that you were informed that diet was going to be provided, and instead what you got were these, these sorts of dry food that didn't really have any sustenance to it, especially when you're expected to stay on for prolonged periods. And I'm reminding you, you're not allowed to leave the premise.
Dr. Fitzhandley, you mentioned those complaints that you've heard. Were these taken up with the Ministry of Health subsequently, and what's the response? And was there a preparatory meeting as to what would be available during the hurricane?
So there is a standard that exists across the board. As I said, there are disaster plans in place at every single hospital and health center across the island. These are things that have to be updated each year, and they're submitted, and it is checked off by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. So these plans exist, and the staff on site know of their roles, and which is why we expected that these usual things would obtain. What we as the union had done was that we had checked in with our hospital representatives and our health center representatives across the island, as we recognized how, that we were in hurricane watch and then hurricane warning, that we needed to see what things were in place. But we realized at that point that there were things that were woefully lacking. And so at that point, we were reaching out at different locations, trying to see how we could assist, trying to see how we could get things on the ground. Whether it meant that we were trying to provide assist with getting cuts at locations, trying to get other bedding, trying to get other water on the ground. But that is what we were doing, just to try and hold our members over, hoping that the hospitals would have stepped up and done the things that they should have. So in the interim, as you know, nothing occurs if it didn't go in writing. And so we are preparing a report from our side. But we do recognize that these things need to be received, and an official report needs to be made. You mentioned social media posts that persons were looking at and commenting on, and so we do recognize that the minister had commented on this as well. And so we are going to convene a meeting with him so that we can see how this can be remedied and to prevent this from happening again. But you see, the challenge is that this is not a one-off situation, is that these are the things that have happened to us repeatedly, and it is at this point very disheartening, especially given all that is already occurring, across the public sector, and being at a standstill almost when it comes to our negotiations and our compensation and things of that nature. And here we are as essential workers providing something that we know that we have to be there to provide health care for the population of Jamaica, but at the same time, provisions that should be there for us just were not in place.
One of the things...
Can I just ask you tangentially about the service available during the period? Were all the hospitals fully staffed by medical doctors, and were the necessary equipment that you wanted, was that available?
So during the hospital, I can speak for our junior doctors, of course. Those are the doctors that we represent, and so there were teams at all locations that were in place. And as I said, the list of the doctors who were going to be on call were already predetermined and submitted to all of the senior medical officers, CEOs, the entire staff, senior staff that exist, so that they would know each and every person that was on the hospital compound to account for them. And so these lists would also have been submitted to dietary so that they could know all the people that need to be accommodated for both sleep as well as food. Mm-hmm. In terms of the other things that were, when you say other systems that were in play, I'm not sure. Are you speaking to water and light, or are you speaking to...
Yes, and
right, so unfortunately we do recognize that there, across the island, there is a bit of a disparity in terms of the parishes that were affected more than others. So we do recognize that there are significant challenges, in certain locations where communities are still struggling to get back light and water. And as it stands right now, we do have members who are still enduring without electricity and water at locations on site. We have spoken to at these institutions. Once we received the reports of this, I did call the regional director, and they had advised that it was going to be escalated to the parish manager so that they could try and assist, so that they could get things back on track. But we do recognize that in some of these locations that were harder hit, we understand that this is not, that they are trying, meaning the JPS and the other persons are trying to get things back on the ground, but because of infrastructure hit and damage, we recognize this may take a bit longer.
One of the things you highlighted, Jason, and we started talking about it, is the number of hours that the doctors are expected to work. Seen a comment on from our YouTube, one of our YouTube listener, who indicated it is the norm, even overseas, for doctors to work 30 plus hours. And the person is asking, why complain if this is the same thing that happens overseas? You would have canvassed the doctors here in Jamaica, some of your former colleagues. Help us to understand why it's a concern if that is the industry standard to work over 30 hours.
Well, firstly, that person's wrong. So Europe has working designations for what physicians are or aren't supposed to work. They cap their workers at 48 hours. In America, you're not supposed to work more than 60 hours a week. So, I mean, if you're having physicians that are working 36 hours or 32 hours, then for 48 or a 60-hour work week, you'd expect that would have to be divvied up amongst the rest of the days. Mm-hmm. So, but that's not the case. The case is you work 32 hours, and then the following day, you probably going to have to work another 8 to 10 hours. And then you may be on call again the following day, so that's another 32 hours. So within 5 days, that's 64 plus 8, 72 hours. And that's in the week. And then some will work weekends too. So whoever said that needs to go and check the facts. Yeah. Because that's not the case. No, it used to be the case, but the problem is that burnout became such a serious thing and such a severe concern amongst healthcare workers that they realized that this really can't continue. It used to be that this was acceptable, but it's not acceptable anymore. Doctors are people. It's a very, very valuable human resource. And frankly, why would you want tired doctors working? Like, tired doctors make bad decisions. Tired doctors have to go home or fall asleep while driving, are not functioning members of society, functioning members of families. So whoever wants to say that, yeah, that's how it used to be. It's not like that anymore. I think you need to go into some more research.
And in that tweet that you made, Jason, you also gave your lived reality, working over 32 hours, heading home in traffic, tired. Talk to me about that.
Oh, yeah. So, actually, that time I was working at bus at the time, and actually I was on call for a week straight. So that was 168 hours out of 168-hour week that I was working. But we were severely short-staffed. I was the most junior MO at the time, and MO medical officer at the time. I think it was a Tuesday. Left really not even to go home, but just to get something. And it was in a long line of traffic, fell asleep, and somebody behind me blew their horn. I just stepped on the gas, ran into the person in front of me, and I came out, person came out, they saw I was a doctor, I apologized, there was no damage to the car, and they said, all right, doc, go on the thing, but went, got my food, and then went back to the hospital. Now, of course, I can say that no, because I'm out, and I really shouldn't have left the hospital at the time, but I didn't have a choice. I needed food, and I was hungry. But that's kind of the lived reality, and we're seeing it all over Jamaica, to be quite frank. You see doctors leaving the hospital after these shifts because they're extremely tired, they're exhausted, they fall asleep in traffic. Some have died because of this. Like, people have driven under trucks, people have crashed. These are things that happen. I mean, when you're exhausted and you still need to get home after your second day of work and you're on the road in traffic, and we know what the traffic situation is like, especially in Kingston. It's a very, very dangerous situation that we're putting physicians in.
Well, Dr. Strawn and then Dr. Fitzhenley, I'd love you to respond to someone who says, here are these doctors complaining about the quality of food they're getting, have to work a little extra during hurricane. Where are these doctors, these self-serving people, when the patients have no bed in the hospital? No oxygen that they're supposed to be getting, have to be taken miles to a public diagnostic facility, a private diagnostic facility. Where are the doctors who should be thinking about the patients at that time? Would you like to give us your response, starting with you, Dr. Strawn?
I promise you don't want me to answer that.
So I can give you a response there. It's, as you can imagine, the doctors are the workforce, so we'd be the ones seeing the patients, but it is a managerial issue in terms of oxygen being ordered. What it would be is that there are ward staff that are hospital staff that are specifically assigned to checking off the levels of different oxygen levels, for example, to see when it needs to be reordered. There's persons who should be checking off the supply that you need to run, each and every ward and to see patients. That's a managerial issue completely separate from what the doctors would be. It would be impossible for the doctor to also be expected to see the patient working continuously, doing duties repeatedly, plus somehow also be the person that is going to now check and order supplies as well as now, run and then somehow get the financing through the CEO to get the payments done. That's a level that would be completely outside of the scope of a medical doctor. Our aim is to see our patients, is to treat them, and for us to try and help them in the best way possible from a diagnostic and a therapeutic way. Now, while we might recognize that the person needs oxygen, sure, but we can't be the ones that are also expected to now staff hospitals plus order supplies and to check those things off. That wouldn't be our role at all. We obviously point it out if we notice. We're trying to figure out what's happening while things in short supply, but it would not be us that does that. And so it's a little disheartening that they would think now that everything would fall back onto the doctor at that point in time.
And from a union standpoint, Dr. Mindy Fitzhenley, how do you see and what are the plans moving forward to deal with the issue of the catering at the respective hospitals and also the matter of scheduling that Jason would have pointed out?
So we are currently preparing a report now from each. So our aim is to get it from each of our representatives across the island to have a step-by-step of what occurred at each location and where the things went wrong. As we pointed out, things didn't happen if it isn't in writing, and so we want a formal report to go in to show where there were inadequacies so that it can be fixed for the next time. We are in the midst of a hurricane season, and this, as I said, this is not the first time that this is occurring, but something needs to be done. The persons need to be held responsible so that we can fix it as we move forward. And that is where we're going to be focused on. As you know, our compensation restructuring negotiations are still ongoing, and that is something that we continue to push forward for. We still don't have any what is loosely coined overtime rate. We still don't have that, but our doctors continue to do these hours nonetheless because we do recognize that we are providing a specialized skill to the people of Jamaica, but it cannot be that we're expected to work without adequately being compensated. So we continue to do it, but at the same time, we're continuing to put pressure on the Ministry of Finance so that we can try and get these things locked down so that we can try and move forward in the best way possible.
When you say the overtime issue, is it that the doctors are still being paid at their previous rate? Because I know you would have received an increase, but are you being paid at the previous rate for overtime?
Yes. No, across the public sector, there has been no agreement made, including for doctors, for any quote-unquote overtime rate. So we are only receiving our old rate, which at this point is more than 33% below what it should be based on our increase in basic salary. So as I said, we are woefully being underpaid. We continue to do the work. And then, unfortunately now the Ministry of Finance has made a statement about retroactive not being applied before April 1, 2024. And so this is an ongoing issue. Our members are very upset. They're very restive. And as I said, we continue to do the work. It's not that we have not been doing it. So it cannot be that work's done and you're not being compensated adequately for it. I don't think anybody would accept that. Across
Dr. Fitzhenley, we were told that there are now more junior doctors employed in the system than before. Is that correct? And does it meet the levels and standards recommended by your union?
Well, we are trying to actually get an update. It's been very difficult for us to get an update in terms of numerical figure to show, because we also still have doctors who have not been permanently appointed. So persons are still on temporary appointment on these letters that keep expiring after a few months, and they keep getting a new one, despite our agreement from back in April of 2023 that all of our junior doctors would be permanently appointed. That is still not fully in place. And so up to today, that's on our update where we could get a numerical value of the number of doctors who are still awaiting posts and what the issue is for why they have not been appointed.
All right, continue the fight, Dr. Fitzhenley. We have to leave it there. Thank you as always, Dr. Fitzhenley. Minda Fitzhenley is the president of the Jamaica Medical Doctors Association, and Dr. Jason Strawn is a former member of the health system here in Jamaica. We're going to take the break.
Both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to take the break, and when we come back, it's time to take your calls.
Nation's Business was brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
The mission of the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs includes revising Jamaica's legal and constitutional infrastructure and accelerating the pace of reform. The time by the MLCA is...
It's 7:04.
Don't compromise on water storage. Choose Rhino water tanks, Jamaica's top pick for over 25 years. Built strong. Purchase a water harvester for an additional water supply. Rhino water tank, Jamaica's choice.
Welcome back to Nationwide at 5. My name is Sanjay Lewis, and we have the man they call the teacher, Franklin McKnight, with us. Just to remind you, we're opening the phone lines. The numbers to call, 630-937-124. That's 630-937-124 and 618-8255. We take the break and come back to take your calls.
Jamaica, it's here again. Phosphorage Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. Come get your wires, breakers, solar flood lamps, LED bulbs, ceiling fans, and so much more. Call 876-937-5099 or visit us in Kingston, Mandeville, Draxall, and Montego Bay. Up to 60% off this summer. Get your solar panels starting from $17,600. Come shop, come save at Phosphorage Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. See you there at Phosphorage. Open Sundays.
Watch for Cheyenne Fraser Price. I stay locked to the Olympics because, of course, I'm Jamaican. What you mean? Me, I have to tune into the Olympics, man. Because I'm always busy, but what? I have to know when Sherika Jackson beat Shakari. Brother, I have to have every notification for the Olympics. I want to hear every run.
Now Sherika Jackson coming
every jump.
Oh, that is absolutely huge of Wade Pinkham.
Every fling, live. So, take us then. Nothing can miss me.
We're always on the move.
So while we're driving, run, Elaine, run.
Jogging. Yes. Run, Watson. Win again.
Watson is now a world champion. Or even at work.
Quick. The race has started.
We can't miss a beat because we keep it locked
to the only station
for the Paris Olympics.
Nationwide.
90
FM.
Nationwide 90.1, 90.3, 90.5, 90.7 and 90.9, and on YouTube at Nationwide 90 FM Live. Nationwide, the new revolution in media.
None of mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking beats.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team. Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Thanks for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. My name is Sanjay Lewis.
I'm Franklin McKnight.
Well, it's time to take your calls, and our first caller, Franklin, is Cleveland. Cleveland!
Good evening to you both.
How are you?
Good
I'm
evening,
good,
sir.
thanks.
That's wonderful.
I'm sort of disappointed when I hear these doctors talk.
Why?
What can the government do for them to be satisfied? They live under wage freeze for how much years? Government trying their best to straighten up things and going on, and them still complaining. And then that one who, Jason, you said, what his name?
Yes, Jason Strawn.
Yes. Him not in the system anymore.
No.
Mm-hmm. But him look like him a propagandist.
Why I said that? Because some of the things that he indicated, Cleveland, is actually the lived reality of many of those within the system, the long hours that they have to work.
Yes, but...
And he spoke about his own experience.
Yeah.
You know.
The long hours they keep us waiting to get looked after in the hospital.
But that's a problem with the system, not with the doctors that exist.
But the doctor, come on, sir. The doctor try their best and to entertain the doctors. If it's even this past 2 years, 2 years, they try their best.
But Cleveland,
to
that
the
doctor,
doctors.
for example, I'm not sure you're hearing me. Cleveland, that doctor, for example, was explaining his own experience and saying that was pretty common, and also making comparisons.
I don't know. Sometimes they come up. You wonder. Sometimes they just come up. So, come on. If we have a campaign, someone a campaign. Because you don't
Cleveland, that is unfair, man.
Give the government
Cleveland,
praise for what they're trying to do. If somebody says to bring food for them,
but
they don't get the proper
But
food?
hold on. But Cleveland, even so, he indicated that some of them, they are working 32 hours without breaks.
Yes.
I don't know in which industry anyone can function at such long hours without receiving breaks.
They work without break during the hurricane? Or
No. Just generally. This is his lived
what
experience.
happened to all the
generally.
doctor them? Where the government tried to accommodate last time? What happened to them?
I'm not following. What do you mean?
Well, there was the last set of doctors that them the graduate, the doctor try and make them accommodate them in the system.
Yeah, they're in the system, but what he's saying is that you have doctors within the system. They have long hours that they have to work, and they're not receiving breaks.
Who make that happen?
But there's a problem with the system in terms of probably how they, at the respective hospitals, how they do the shifts, or there's something that is off. Because JC is not
And
the
he
only
says
one
this
who's
is a
saying
traditional
that.
thing for junior doctors, you know. He made the point that this has been going on for a long time, like 10,
Lord
15 years.
I tell you, see, I poor this country here. I tell you, these people, my God, I hope when we get to the hospital, they will try look after us and we not sit down there till next never. And when if we go do one test and the things are there in the hospital for you to get to use, and them tell you that they break down and what have you and what.
Well, that's a point I raised to Dr. Fitzhenley, but she said that is not the doctor's issue. It's more an issue of the management of the hospital.
How it become the manager of the hospital, management. How it become them. And they are the one who are right. They to say and I tell you where to go. And actually, I tell you where to go to.
Yes, but they are saying that they are not the ones who are the hospitals have a management system, you know. So they are saying that they are not the ones who are supposed to go out there and determine oxygen should be here tomorrow. They are not the ones who look at the equipment. They are not the ones who do that. They're saying the management system in the hospitals, is letting down.
Well, I tell you, over Jamaica with these people. Oh my God. The next thing, you were talking to Denton Campbell this evening.
Yes.
And you know how I know him don't answer a question where you ask him, where you said to him that, let me see if I can put it together.
Which one? The one about Mark Golding?
No, not Mark Golding. The one where you said that if they don't charge them or nobody is charged, should be naming them?
Well, he did indicate that those individuals, even though they are not charged, they're under investigation, they still make decisions which potentially can affect the Integrity Commission. And as such, they should... Right, but remember you have, for example, an Integrity Commission Oversight Committee.
Yes.
And you have legislators who are sitting on that committee, so he's saying that they can make decisions.
But on one side, upon that committee. So if that is happening, say it loud, make the country hear it.
No, he's saying it doesn't know. We don't know who the people are, the 8 are, and he's saying it's not just about the oversight committee either. He's saying that the country needs to know.
Sir?
Sorry.
Who going to incriminate themselves? Because if they even call and ask them questions about whatever they put in, and they still have an investigation, why would any of them come out publicly to say? And when they do the investigation, no go so.
Well, I did ask him that. But we have to leave it there, Cleveland. But thank you as always.
Come on.
Our next caller is Richie. Hi, Richie.
Yes, Mr. Sanjay.
How you do?
Teacher. Good evening, man.
Good evening, Richie. Good evening.
But I'm really upset about this so-called Intel Commission. That's what I call them, and I'm going to tell you why. This month, it is 1 year and 1 month. They just talk about illicit sick. And I'm telling you, they can't call the people names. It is in the first place. I believe what they should have done the investigation before they come and say it. And I said again, it is 1 year and 1 month. They come down to 2 from 6 and gone back up to 6.
No, they already come down from 6 to 2.
Yes, and gone back up to 8.
No. They had 6.
They did not come down.
So it was 6 in a reporting year, and then in the last reporting year, there are 2 additional individuals. So it's 6 plus 2. That's how they reached the 8.
Yes, but a point I'm making. From the very first time they come out and said 6 parliamentary entries said by illicit gains, they should have done their homework, the work, and come out and call the people's name.
But they can't put forward the names, Richie, until they would have completed their investigations. What they did was to indicate in their annual report initially that 6 individuals are under review, and following that, they have indicated in the last annual report that 2 additional legislators are under review.
But the point they make, they say 6 parliamentarians enrich themselves by illicit gains. That means they complete the investigation.
No, they said that they are being investigated.
They're under investigation.
Yeah.
Richard.
Under
investigation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Say that's how it is. And this is 1 year and 1 month. And they can't finish it?
That is a question, and we don't know the details of the investigation. But Richie, I was making a point yesterday, and 2 days ago, and I'm still making that point. This Integrity Commission it's very important to the country.
Very much.
Corruption.
Very much.
It is young. It is relatively young, and I think it's finding its feet. It's finding its way. It has made some stumbles along the way, as a young one might. And I think it is not time yet for us to be ready to throw this baby with the bathwater. It has been making some errors, I think, but the procedures are being refined, and I think it requires some more time for these investigations to be over.
Listen this one now. Dwayne Vaz, this former PMP, MP.
Yes.
Remember they said that he enriched said by illicit gains. That's what they said.
No.
Remember?
No, that's not what
they said. That's what they said. What they said.
There were some filing.
Remind me. Huh?
There was some filing. There was some. All these legislators plus other public sector people at a certain level make a filing to the Integrity Commission. His was late. They said he was told it was late, and he failed to follow through. As far as I'm going entirely on memory now. And he said this was not. He contested that, but it was not illicit enrichment.
It was not illicit.
No.
What was it? Remind me what it was.
The procedure and the dates for filing.
You heard that, Richie? I think we have lost Richie.
Hello, Richie.
All right, we have lost Richie. So let's jump to the next caller, Faithful.
Good evening, Sanjay.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. McKnight.
Good evening, sir.
Okay, Mr. Dayton Campbell, I remember when a Karen Cross accused him of being a pedophile from that effect. And they were advocating for him to step aside. I said then, and I said no, that I don't think that was fair. Because you cannot accuse a person when a person can come out and tell lie on you. You don't think Dayton Campbell should use the same metric to judge, apply the same metric to those so-called illicit, yet 6 hours, the case may be, with the same case that they have against him.
And you are making the point that he won defamation suit against people who
he won. No, what I'm saying, they were advocating for him to step aside from being general secretary, right? And he said he didn't see the need for him to step aside. I know he does not wrong. That time he was just accused, but he went to the court and he proved it in the court. And so I am saying, so how come he want because the name person have been involved in corruption when it possible nothing don't go so.
Yeah, but remember what he indicated, Faithful, and I'm repeating what Dr. Campbell said on the show earlier. He indicated that these individuals are legislators, they are on committees and potentially can make decisions that can affect the functioning of some of these agencies, some of these commissions. And what he's saying
of the commission itself,
yes,
the Integrity Commission itself.
And based on that, he thinks that he's of the belief that they should step aside.
No, but I'm talking about the principle of the whole thing, you know. The principle, when the shoes on his feet, and it's what he advocate that he has done nothing wrong, and he's going to prove it in court. And there was no need for him to step aside. Because he was there to prove his case. So how come he want other person to step aside without they prove their case?
So you're in essence thinking that everyone should be given a fair trial before any judgment is passed?
I think that's where the law works. I heard it like Miss Archer. He said the person who so-called listed 6, that they should come out and tell the country who they are. I don't think that's the way it works under law.
Yes, but one of the things that you find, well, Jeff J said it, and also NIA.
But I don't care who said it.
No, just hold on. Let me just make the point. One of the things that they indicated is that politicians are held at a much higher standard. And because there's a higher expectation of politicians, it is expected of them that in cases like these, they will step aside as part of this of the process. And if you look at the Westminster system that we employ here in Jamaica, that's the standard. Sometimes politicians are accused of things and they recuse themselves. Some will resign as part of the process.
All right, some will resign. All right. This is where I have a next problem, and maybe I didn't get it wrong, so maybe you can help me. Mr. Pantan is asking for the Speaker of the House should remove Mr. Warmington from whatever post he have, based on what Mr. Warmington said. And in my mind, what Mr. Warmington said no PMP MP going to get his money. Can he prove in court that he was talking about taxpayer money?
Well, some of these things you don't prove in court, you know, Faithful. The bottom line here is that it seemed clear to most people who weren't blinkered by one of these partisan positions, but it seemed clear that he was talking about the country's money. Who would want his money? Who would want his money to spend in as a politician in public issues? The issue rather ought to be whether he thought that the public money was his money. There was no question about what he was talking about.
I'm not saying what should have happened, but I'm just going to based on basic principle. he said that he should remove him from the committee,
Mm-hmm.
and because could that be because Mr. Warmington is raising a question about happening in Mr. Panton led organization? Could it not be that I want to read why I want him to remove?
It might well be. It might well be. But there are some issues the country has already decided. Even it is Mr. Warmington's party leader, anyway,
Yeah.
has indicated where his thinking was on the matter.
We have to leave it there, though, Faithful. We have to take some more callers. And I just wanted to say that JFJ, just wanted to clarify, Michael Jackson indicated that JFJ has never called for anyone to come forward. What they have indicated is that these individuals should step aside from the committees until the process has been completed. All right, let's jump to the next caller. We have Martin. Martin.
Yes, hi. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Okay, great. Listen, I've become increasingly concerned and almost frustrated at what's happening now with the IC and the real possibility that is being used conveniently as a political football.
Yes.
Because, from my understanding of it, in the latest IC report, the chairman himself commented that anyone can make a report, anyone, and they'd be duty bound to investigate, right? Now, that being the case, there's a huge loophole in the law because persons with ulterior motive can exploit that opportunity to their own selfish ends. I mean, I can easily make up a story and pass it on for investigation, knowing very well it has no bottom. Investigation will take forever. And in the meantime, I'm all over the media using the fact, because first of all, if I can be so definitive about who these people are, even though the names have been called, it is very clear from utterances on the political platform that we know it's six and we know who these people are. Why you don't tell them who these people are? That kind of thing. How would you know if the commission hasn't said anything to you? Is it that
About
you're the
what?
one?
When you say how would you know?
How would
When you
anybody
say
know
how
the
would you
commission?
know? I didn't understand that, Martin.
How would anybody know who these people are if the commission hasn't said who they are?
Right, but nobody knows. I mean, people can run up their mouth, but nobody knows. The people who are under investigation have reportedly been told by the IC. The Integrity Commission said it tells the people.
So, Franklin, have you listened to some of the utterances on the media?
Yes, but I don't give a lot of credence to that,
No, but people
Martin.
do. You may not, but there are people
You are
who
correct.
do.
You are correct that people do.
And therein lies the mischief, Franklin. Therein lies the mischief. Because you'd be surprised how many people out there saying all kind of things without even knowing more. And that's a dangerous position.
Well, what is clear, though, Martin, is that the Integrity Commission, as you know, the so-called gag order, they can't say anything, yeah? But the Integrity Commission indicated that those who are under investigation, they would have been duly notified. What the opposition is saying, the individuals who are under investigation, they should come forward and state that they are under investigation.
Would you?
No, well, I mean,
if I'm making mischief on you, right, and I come forward and say I'm under investigation, the public is not going to know that I'm here making mischief on you. What would I be doing to myself? Let's be real. What would I be doing to myself? Maybe we're treating this thing so seriously and there's nothing to it because it's all mischief, but we would know.
Well, it's supposed to be, there are two things. You're right. We wouldn't know how much mischief. We don't know at what point the complaints rise to a position where they say they must investigate because they have to hear all complaints. But when they reach the point of investigating enrichment allegations, that one assumes, no more than that, I put it more than that, has reached a certain level of seriousness.
And bear in mind also that it's not only complaints that they would have received. Remember that the parliamentarians have to do their statutory declaration, and it could very well be that coming from the declaration that they would have made, the Integrity Commission, in the documentation, the Integrity Commission may decide that it rises to the level of illicit enrichment.
I totally agree with that. But look at the flip side of that. Because the IC report specifically said it drew a parallel with reports that the police sometimes get.
Yes.
And when they investigate, there is nothing. So one single mischief can be used to destroy not just a person, but a political organization in a scenario such as this. Now, think about it.
Yes, Martin. There are clear dangers. Very clear dangers. Just like that analogy that the former appeal court had mentioned, because Martin, people can, and I mentioned sexual assault in this particular way. People can ruin you.
Yeah.
With mischief, you know.
Exactly.
And by the time you get around, by the time even the police investigation, you're ruined.
And this is why I'm wondering if people not seeing it, because when the media, when especially...
But Martin, hold on a second. Second, Martin. What I'm saying is that the Integrity Commission, we assume, and it's something to be interrogated, must reach a stage where this rises to a certain level that they're saying, yes, there's an investigation into illicit enrichment. Not just because somebody calls up or sends into videos or whatever. That wouldn't make it, Martin.
Yeah. Franklin, do you know? You can't be sure about that.
I don't know.
How you would treat with it, and that is, therein lies the problem for me, right? Because at the end of the day, we have some of the most ingenious people on this island, you know, and we have a very competitive political system. Yeah. It's all or nothing. Don't ever forget that. And people can be so creative with mischief. You'd be amazed. Mm-hmm. You'd be amazed.
We have to
look at how this illicit whatever has been going on for how long now. It's literally the campaign plan, if you want to call it that, of the opposition. And I'm not taking the political side. I'm just a concerned Jamaican who wants the best. So I don't want anybody to assume power because of mischief. I want people to be honest, fair, and straightforward, because I could be in any of those people's position.
We have to leave it there, though, Martin. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Martin.
Our next caller, Carl. Carl, how you do?
Not bad at all, man.
Mm.
Good evening, Carl.
Could the British citizen be one of the illicit 8?
Well, he indicated, Carl, that all the members publicly declared, and I'm assuming it would include him,
okay, well,
that none on the opposition side, they were contacted by the Integrity Commission.
Ask you another one now. Mm-hmm. You are a citizen of England, and you have a passport with a visa to take you to your country whenever you want. You went and you get a Jamaica passport and get a British visa in a hit. Could you be one of the illicit 8? Those are questions to be answered.
How do you come to that conclusion, Carl?
Okay. No, God gave all of us brain to think now. He never gave it.
Carl, why in your references to the leader of the opposition, you don't call him by his name or call him by his name?
It's the same thing Ricardo said to him yesterday.
All right, Mark Golding then. Mark Golding, British citizen.
Mark Golding is a part of the administration of Jamaica.
Hold on,
he's the leader of the opposition and is paid.
Mr. McKnight, don't we ask you a question, Nicola? We don't have to go about dual citizen or all kind of things now.
I just asked you a question and you answered it.
Right. Mr. McKnight,
yes.
Can you know, as a news media person, that put out some pressure that we get Mr. Golding to call a press conference, or almost 8 weeks now, none doesn't keep, to ask him question like this.
Well, we did put the question to Dr. Campbell, the General Secretary of the party. I'm not sure if you heard that question, Carl.
Right. Mr. McKnight, you are the senior here. I didn't like how you conduct with Dayton Campbell this year. You make Dayton Campbell just yaka him out, and every time you go to ask him a question, he just keep running. And I know you're better than that, Mr. McKnight. You should stop him in his track. That's not how Nationwide operates. You answer question when you come here. We doesn't make people just come here and laba and say what you want to say and get away. You answer questions.
Well, that was your impression, you know. So I that's all right if you feel that way. That's okay. I don't share your view.
Yes, you must.
But Carl, but hold on. He did answer the question. He said that he doesn't know.
He did not answer majority of the question. He dodged around them. And then when the last one that you asked him, he couldn't even answer it. He said, him is the general secretary of his party, if he's leader.
And he says he doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
Yeah, so that's an answer.
And you buy that answer?
No, but hold on.
Okay,
you said no, but Carl, you said that he did not answer the question, and I'm saying to you, he did. He said he doesn't know. Isn't that an answer?
Well, I don't accept that answer. We know better than that.
But it's an answer.
Well, fair enough.
Okay.
Well, anyhow.
So be fair to us then, Carl.
All right. Be fair to he answer that question. Well, have the question when we want to know why he need 2 passports with 2 British citizenship visa in it.
That one I can't answer.
That one need to answer. And before me run,
yes,
I gather that you're a lecturer at the university. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I want to ask you a few questions. When you're lecturing at the university, do you lecture on how your country develop and what is happening inside your country?
Well, there's a topic that we do that speaks to the history and the development of politics within the Caribbean.
Okay, and if you should be writing the history of Jamaica some days to come, you'd have left out the 90s out of the writing the history.
Why?
Oh, thank you very much. I like how you asked me that question.
Carl, thank you as always.
No, man, I'm not finished yet.
Quickly.
Would you write?
Carl, you would want him to leave out the 90s?
But the 90s was a disaster, so why write about the 90s? If you look at the 90s as a lecturer at university and a person who can think for yourself, when all of the Caribbean them was growing, the 90s were saying negative growth. But how would you adjust that?
Well, it depends on the context in which we are talking about. Is it that you're talking about growth of the economy? Is it that you're talking about the development of the politics? There are different topics that you will speak about in the 90s.
And the growth of your country and plus how your country been financing now, and that we have all insurance, as if we have a natural disaster. If you have to look around now and you have to write your history of your country, how would you write your history of your country?
It is a fact, and I've said it elsewhere, Carl, and I will say it here also, that the management of the economy and the current management of the economy is excellent. And when we look at prior years, especially in the 90s, we had mismanagement of the economy then, right? But to come to say it was all doom and gloom in the 90s, that will also would have been an unfair statement to make. But if we're matching the 90s now, and if we're talking about the management of the economy in the 90s and matching it against now, it's way better now, and we just have to be fair.
No, you cannot say way better. You must say it is far better.
But the point is still made, Carl, and it's not lost on me.
When we discuss things, we have to be very honest. This radio station, although you say you work here before now, that's where we come to learn and we come to speak the truth. And we doesn't care when we fling the blow, how it want to hit, but we speak the truth here. And we doesn't hide around like me. When me come, I don't have to hide around. I wear my green shirt. I doesn't do like some journalists or some other one who hide them orange shirt.
Well,
when they come then take it off and hide it in a trunk of their vehicle, but you know where they stand.
None of us are here. None of us are here to carry the card of any political party. We're here to carry the truth. But we have to leave it there, Carl. Thank you as always.
Me I go leave, but all I need to ask for me tries to get a press conference from the leader of the opposition. He must be there to answer something. And I want to know why he needs 2 visas in same country.
Thank you, Carl. Our next caller is Keisha.
Hi, Sanjay. Good afternoon. Good evening.
How are you, Keisha? I know you're a regular caller, you know. First talking to you.
This is what night.
Hello, Keisha. It's a long time I haven't heard you.
Showman, frankly speaking. But I'm listening to the discussion, you know, and I just want to weigh in. Let me ask that question. And this is my opinion. Why would anybody trust the PMP, especially those persons such as Nikisha? What's her name? Nikisha
Burchell.
Who knows that be already? Nikisha
Burchell.
Yeah. When after the local government election, when the dust is settled, she came out and tell the people them that they won the local government election. Why should you trust us?
Well,
I don't think that is so much a matter of trust. No, it's their interpretation at the start.
So the next question now, right? How we do them ask no people them anything?
Well, we have to give sometimes people the benefit of the doubt, Keisha. He says that he indicated that he would have done his canvas. My question to Dayton Campbell is that how do you know that they're actually telling you the truth? Because anyone can say anything.
That is what I was going to get to, because the fact is that person from the Jamaica Labour Party can come out and say the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then again, I don't see the strength. No, as it is now, I don't see the strength where the Integrity Commission know that there's a Gagana where they can't come out and name nobody, right? And you're giving 6 last year, you're going to give it 2. So hold on now. Let these people that remain silent, nobody will come out and say, boy, I'm a part height. What am I going to do? Give it 3 next year, and 3 the other year, and you just continue. I don't see the sense.
That I fundamentally have a problem also, and I do understand that it takes a while to do these investigations. So we have to give that to them. And they did indicate that they don't have enough individuals, the staffing, to do the work that they have to do. Yeah? But I also will agree that this issue of illicit 6, now illicit 8, it's going on for a while with the 6. Now we add 2 more. It doesn't augur well for the country at all. And
it doesn't look good and doesn't feel good
at all. It doesn't feel good. We need to have this investigation wrap up so that we can get the information and the chips fall where they may.
Exactly, because I am saying you give us 6 last year, nobody come forward. It's just people are speculate, and you know speculation never go on because it's all about politics, right? And then they give us 2 no, and then the investigation no complete, and then next year probably again we get another 2 or another 3 and continue. I don't see the sense, because guess what? If there's no law that said these people must come out and name themselves, what is sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
it's the investigation, though, you know. If Keisha, it's the investigation. The investigation is taking quite a time. And if the investigations were completed, we would know whether who these people are, or whether all of them were involved.
But what about the call, though, Keisha, to remove the gag order so that they can speak?
Of course, I don't have a problem with that. Because if the gag order was not there, at least the Integrity Commission probably can come in. You get what I mean? But there's a gag order and they have to stick within the rules or stick within the law. Then automatically now come out and name anybody. But if you have a clause in there that said people can just call and say, hey, guess what? Mrs. Sanjay with 2 vehicles parked up in the yard, and I probably a Sanjay bridging vehicle, them, you know, like how it's hurricane.
Yes.
People move them vehicles from the yard and go park it somewhere else. And that's because you're living in flood-prone area. And somebody can just call and report Sanjay, and then an investigation can start. Me not see sense.
One of the things that I have said, though, and I know Michael Jackson, Daniel Archer, we have spoken on radio on this before. This matter of naming the politicians, I don't support it. Yeah, and we have gone back and forth on it, because when you name a politician, it's on the front page of every major newspaper on headline, and then let us say that they are freed of whatever charges or allegation, let me put it lightly, allegation, let's say they're freed of any allegation, they are not going to get the same level of attention that it would have given when the initial allegation would have been put forward. And one of the things that people are going to say, Keisha, boy, I'm just free because nobody now come out and say it. Yeah, me not believe it.
The damage is done.
The damage is already done. And I hear Daniel and Mikel indicating that, look, it's the same thing for a man in a community. When police have them as a person of interest and they are freed, the same attention is not given. And I'm like, yeah, but that individual is not going to be given the same attention on a front page on a paper because that person is not known.
Which is true.
Yeah.
And then again, I'm saying, sir, we are killing up ourselves about 8. But what about the others? They're not interested to know them too.
Yeah.
Because we say 8 politicians, but you have others who they're not civil servants about this civil society.
Well, the greater power, though, Keisha, would lie with the politicians. The greater ability to enact laws, for example.
If me want the politician, them, me want the permanent secretary.
Well, Keisha, we have to leave it there. It's Daniel Archer that I've spoken to, Michael Jack, and this Daniel Archer and Kenyatta Powell, not Michael Jackson. Michael just reminded me about that. Anyways, we have Nadine. Nadine?
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, Nadine. Good evening.
Look here. Who tell if I know Integrity Commission a leak is it to the PNP them? Or them know too much things. Mine of them a leak and I tell the PNP them things. Mine of them a leak.
Well,
so this time like a year, one of them come
when
out.
you say telling them things like what?
Attack about the other party. Or them know too much things like say to come out and attack. Mine of them a leak.
But we have to no. And let us be fair. Well, hold on. Let us be fair to the Integrity Commission. The individuals who are the commissioners, they are individuals of the highest esteem. And we have to be fair to them also. I would not believe, and I would not come to say that they're leaking information to anyone. I don't think we should go there at all.
Then, what them knows things, sir? What them knows much things? This week a year.
But like what, Nadine, I'm trying to find out like what you think them leaking.
Yeah, Mark Golin say, Andrew always come out contact because you know, then tell me. How much information and integrity, like I give them.
No, he's saying that he has asked the people in his party.
You're not going to agree with me, but I feel say at the Integrity Commission I leak things to the PNP them. You're not going to agree with me, but I just saw me feel right
But
now.
what is it that the PNP? No, but
I said it's fake thing to say at them a leak.
No, but hold on. What is it that the PNP said to the public that you would consider leaked information?
Look here, Mark Wolin said on the campaign trail, say, Andrew, you know who? How we know that, say the man know who? How we know that?
No, but anybody could say that.
No. Look here, we don't stop take up the integrity people.
But let us look at the logic. No, but let us look at the logic behind it. Mark Gold, and we understand the politics behind it also. Mark Golden came and he indicated, Andrew, you know, come out and state it is politics. You know, mean that Integrity Commission give any information?
Because them say 6, I know they are 2. So by next week, now you're going to hear say around 20. Look here, anything they talk, nobody now. Anything and then come out with, nobody now going to believe them. If they even come out with Andrew and say Andrew this, nobody now going to believe them. I pay like them I tell. I go with them to go. I lie them I tell. Nothing where them come out with, nobody now going to believe them. I step down if he, and then if he step down, I take with themselves.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Have a good evening.
We have Donovan. Donovan? All right, Donovan seems like him make a run. We have Bobby. Bobby?
Good evening, my parishioner, and good evening, my good friend.
How you do?
I'm okay. Where is my parishioner? Where is my parishioner? Eh?
How are you, Bobby?
Franklin,
yes.
You have been hiding from us, man.
Yeah, man. How you
yeah,
doing,
man,
Bobby?
yes. Yes, so happy to hear you again, you know. Yes,
sir.
you know, I forgot to mention something to you to you and Ricardo last night, my friend. Okay, did you remember the time when a certain high-ranking gentleman, I am not going to call no name now, a certain high-ranking gentleman from the Integrity Commission make a tweet and it damaged the Prime Minister, not only locally, but internationally?
Yes.
Okay. Did you remember that same gentleman, the time when an high-ranking person from the Integrity Commission was held up in the car park and was shot? And when the media go and ask that same gentleman question about the shooting, you remember what his response was? Go and ask the government. And every question them go and ask the government. Go and ask the government. And look here, now is where I am going to take a swipe at the media. Nobody said to that gentleman, resign. Nobody.
A lot of people did go, Bobby. A lot of
individuals did call for him to resign.
A lot of individuals.
Yeah.
Letter writers, callers to talk shows, journalists in their commentaries, etc. Lots of people did.
But the fact is, but that was just a 9-day wonder. If it was a politician, especially from the Oldness administration, would make a simple mistake, make I tell you something. Every day we would hear this thing as thing like a national anthem.
But it goes back to the very point that I made earlier, that Bobby, politicians are held at a much higher standard, and the things that they say sometimes can be held against them. It's just how it operates. And I don't know, it's not only in Jamaica, you know. You look across the world, politicians will make certain statements and it is held against them and it is popular in the news. Look, even recently, yesterday, President Biden made a mistake and said, call Zelensky Putin, and then he called his Vice President Trump, and you recognize it's all over in the media. It's just how politicians are just held at a higher standard. It's just part of the system, not only in Jamaica.
Right, but you see, one final thing I would like to say to allow somebody else to talk. You see, I just want to say to Mr. Mark Gold, well, first, you see, the caller that come on before me, I agree with something that she said, that I believe that somebody in the Integrity Commission is leaking some information to the PMP, right? And I have the view that I doesn't trust this Integrity Commission, and I am saying this Integrity Commission should scrap and a new one should form out of the office of the Governor General. The Governor General must find people who are balanced to form this thing, and if he cannot find them locally, get them internationally. And the PNP.
But you see, Bobby, you move from an allegation and a suggestion that somebody from within there is leaking. Why you get to that position, I don't know, because I don't know what is the information that has been leaked, that has been and that has been subsequently aired that we don't know. I don't know that information.
No, Franklin.
So you're smearing a whole set of people.
No. From the last time when we hear about the illicit six, I hear Mr. Golden on the political platform. Everybody hear him. And to how this gentleman is talking, something is reaching.
No, but what did he say, Bobby, that you would consider leaked information? That's the question that I asked the previous caller, and I'm yet to hear that.
Because when he come out, right, and to how he's talking, he is giving the impression that his members on his side are free.
But that's politics. It's how the politics work, you know, Bobby.
Huh?
That's how politics work. So Mark Golden is going to come out and say that because what? He will get the attention. It's just how politics work.
But you see,
it doesn't mean that the Integrity Commission gave him any information.
But look here, I am not taking up for this Integrity Commission. But one thing I would like to leave with them tonight, and Mr. Mark Golden, the people of Jamaica they are no fools. They remember 18 years of destruction and reckless management of this country. Look here, Mr. Golden, Tom drunk, but Tom no fool. Have a good night, sir.
Thank you.
Andrew Holness is the best Prime Minister Jamaica will ever have. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you, Bobby.
Bobby.
We have Joseph.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Joseph.
Yes. Good. No, yeah, the illicit 8 that we are talking about. Yeah, that should be the illicit or 10, no? Because they have been citing politicians on that report since about 2020.
No, man, but they indicated in the report initially that 6 are under investigation for illicit enrichment. That's what we're talking about. And then after that, the last annual report, they indicated that for their reporting period, there are 2 politicians who are under investigation for illicit enrichment. So it's illicit enrichment that we're speaking about.
Yeah. And in 2020-21, there were 2 for illicit enrichment, and then in 21-22, there was 1. So what about those 3?
No,
I don't
recall
those.
that at all.
We can check. But
Yeah.
you're saying those were specifically for illicit enrichment?
Yes.
And what was the follow-up on those?
Exactly. So basically,
well, I don't recall that, and I'm not saying that you know, but I don't recall it, and I don't recall it point being made otherwise.
Yeah, well, fine. But yes, it started then. So I'm wondering, 4 years of investigation. So, like I think it was Keisha who said, so how long are these investigations going to go on for? You know, just on and on and on. So. And yeah, Franklin, earlier you said that it's a young organization or new.
Yes.
Yeah, and sometimes, sometimes to save an institution, you might have to remove the current occupants.
Absolutely, that's true too. That's true too. And I've heard other people point out that even though you are young, you should have adopted principles from other places, procedures and principles from other places where there are good organizations dealing with corruption.
Yeah.
So I take that.
And it needs a different mentality. I heard Ricardo saying that maybe because many of the commissioners are like former judges.
Yes.
And they're accustomed to doing things a certain way. In a court, the judge is like a dictator,
and
a lord.
I agree with Ricardo also on that accord. I think that and maybe as part of the process too is the removal of the gag order. But in removing the gag order, the challenge is that one has to be careful about the things that the Integrity Commission and the responsibility that they will now have to update the public is important, but also having to understand that in giving the information, they must be responsible. But I agree with Ricardo, though, that maybe because they are former judges, some of them, and the way how they would normally, deliver judgment, and there's the expectation that they should not be questioned, maybe that is part of the problem that we're seeing now.
Yes, quite likely. With Mr. Smith, Dayton. Sorry, not Smith. Campbell. I remember, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, some people were calling on him to be removed from the position of General Secretary because of a pending court case at the time. And his leader strongly defended him. And I agree. We can't just remove the man because of these accusations. We need something more than that. So I'm seeing an analogy between what's going on now with the Integrity Commission.
Yes.
Yes, I know a previous caller raised that with the defamation case brought against Mr. Campbell, and which he has won.
Right. Well, it wasn't defamation, but yeah. Okay. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Well,
Sanjay, I'm going to challenge you sometime or the other about that matter of allegations being brought against people. And you were mentioning, for example, a man in his community, and then people don't care as much as these politicians, and it rises to a different level.
Yes.
But people have been destroyed in communities, destroyed by allegations brought against them by wicked people, bad-minded people, on a sliver of evidence.
Yeah, and that's a point also. I remember Daniel and Kenyatta, they raised that point. But the point though is, with the politicians, Franklin, it is sometimes difficult for them to recover if information made public and then it turns out not to be true. But it's not lost on me though that you have individuals in communities where the police may have them as a person of interest, and then they're cleared, and then it's not the same. The individuals don't look at them the same. So it's not lost on me at all. Yeah, but that's it, Franklin. We're out of time, but it was good. It was good. Our first rodeo together. Thank you, as always.
Yes, sir. Wonderful.
And special thanks to our listeners and those on our YouTube chat. I see the message. We appreciate you. Thank you as always. And special thanks to our producer, Dana Davey. And also the man, Boogs. Thank you. Our first week together, boss. Thank you as always. My name is Sanjay Lewis.
I'm Franklin McKnight.
And we ask
Good
you
evening.
all, have yourselves a wonderful evening.
You deserve a beautiful home.